decision making. And immediately Global Esports, you see them opening up the site, and that's what they were looking for. All down to Egoist. Global's calls pretty damn solid here, Quack.
Spike
And again, like I mentioned, Egoist just forced to save the weapon for the moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Legia starts to call timeout pretty soon. For now, Global Esports definitely throwing things into plans for Bleed, knowing how to pull the attention away, have Polvi to come up on a flank, of all things. And then at the same time, just the pushes coming out from Russ, Benkai, lightning fast. They have shown that they are capable.
There.
And with the way that they're taking this A site again and again, Bleed struggling to adapt. Egoist, he hasn't really, felt all too much currently.
Yeah. I guess this is the polar opposite of what you can do in Sunset, right? Rather than relying on your duelist to enter the site for you, you can slow push it because of the corners. Because the corners are made to be able to be pushed slowly like this.
30 seconds.
Granted, of course, there are some over pushes that we've seen here for Bleed, but Global Esports, they've been pretty.
Let's go.
What's the word here? They've been pretty slow and methodical at being able to slowly get control of the sites that they're taking. They're not just rambunctiously pushing up into A and haphazardly taking it. They're making sure that every single corner is scrubbed clean and easy for their take.
Yeah, for real, that's exactly what Bleed does. Both teams really taking things slow and steady for now. In contrast to the game that we just saw on the same map. But that's also because this is an elimination match. The tension, the stress is felt. Nightfall executes coming through.
If Durant doesn't get any HP deduction from that Nightfall, yeah, they can't push. Because they already know he's there. He has a double satchel and the showstopper. So unless they wait for this, unless they want to push into the site with a smoke that blots out their vision, this is going to be a big risk for Global here. But they have time right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just a Nightfall. Put Polvi up in this position. Meanwhile, Russ calls for the rotations back over onto A site. They did this in the previous round. Let's see if Bleed can get a good read on it. You've got Ye, who's kind of defending A with his life. You got Scary watching mid and able to rotate back, pivot towards A link. Whether or not it's going to be enough, it's the other thing. It might just be a retake game for Bleed at this point.
There's a tripwire there as well in Link. If anybody pushes that, should be an easy kill here for Scary. Ye is by himself. He's already activated both of his snake bites right now, so he can't really push up without any smoke coverage, so he has to back away and just wait for his teammate to go with him. Now, it's going to be a straight-up firefight here at the back of the site, and it hasn't really panned out well for Bleed, excuse me. Now, Global is going to be left, Bleed is going to be left with Scary and Egoist. Scary is already at the site, but can't really push. Egoist now, are they just... It looks like they want to fight for this. They're not going to save at all. They don't want to risk any more of the rounds. Paranoia activated here. Maybe try to brute force their way against a team that knows, is the definite meaning of brute force. And that's going to be Global with 4 rounds in this first game.
Yeah, not quite able to do all too much. You could see that was clearly Bleed's game plan. You mentioned that tripwire, Asarai. Scary did get the 1 frag onto Polvi. But that was it. They wanted to make use of that numbers advantage to come in with the retakes with Trays and also Darian's showstopper. But as soon as they planted their foot onto A alley, you got this firefight from Global Esports, who knew exactly how to block them off to prevent that retake from even happening. Very nice anticipated play coming out from Global Esports.
Absolutely. And Bleed here, I did mention how very free-flowing they are and how quickly it seems like they have layers upon layers of plans, but it's definitely not now. We're not feeling Scary anymore as that Clutch King. Oh, that haunt is absolutely phenomenal from Blaze King. Exposes the entirety of that A site, makes it easy for Polvi to find the first pick. His teammates gets another, and you already know it's a secured A site. Firepower is definitely in the hands of Global here. The only thing I'm looking at that could give a chance for Bleed is if Global oversteps their bounds, but even then, they have so much firepower to work with here.
Global Esports very much in the driver's seat right now. Almost makes you question if Bleed looks really uncomfortable on Sunset. I mean, clearly they have the composition for it, and in this round, at the very least, it is, you know, just an eco. But Global are decisively breaking into sites, Blaze King at the end, too.
Through the wall as well. No windows, only the wall.
Very impressive stuff. Now Pulvy has the showstopper, too.
And it's scary to think that this is turning into what looks like a one-sided first map. You're talking about how it looks like Bleed just looks absolutely out of their element, and it goes to show. And I don't think we've seen any kind of timeouts here from Legia. I think this has been an issue with the Bleed in the past when they start to lose, you know, contact or any kind of info on the map. They start doing this. But anyways, Pulvy rips one out. Is he gonna find Egoist? That's gonna be huge if he does. Egoist survives? No way, it clips the stairs here, Quack! And that allows him to break through. The trap's right there. Lightning Fast can't get in quick enough. And this leaves Rush, the IGL, once again by himself in a position where he might as well just fall down, which he does. And Global Esports gets obliterated here by Bleed.
Might have been a bit of a... I don't know, man, a misplay from the Rocket or just unlucky, but whatever it is, it favors Egoist so darn much. I mean, this guy who, you know, used to play on SMG, now back onto this team, showing exactly what he's capable of. This is why they put him on that Sentinel role, because he can anchor.
He creates those tempo plays by himself. And one mistake from an opponent definitely unravels the rest of that offense. This is a given thing here for Bleed because it gives enough for Durian to also pick up the operator, which is tremendous. No one else was pushing that B main, so it's a free pick for Durian, and he can just choose to get back. And because of that, as he spots no one as well, that coaxed the rest of Bleed to start getting some information here on mid. Crazy Guy activates the drone, spots out Pulvy. Now they're aware Global is coming here on top mid.
And they're very much so ready to receive it too. Pulvy, it's an op versus op, but Darian's got the other angle, takes down Lightning Fast, and as it happens, Crazy Guy comes back in around just to check.
Yikes. Pulvy's on an operator, so you can't really deal with so many angles, slow pushing like that when no one is checking your 6. But at the corner here, Crazy Guy actually picks himself out the operator, wants the challenge, and they will get punished gloriously by Benkai. If he finds some opening here, maybe somehow, some way, there was a world where he can get into A and activate that ultimate and then put himself in a 2v1 manageable situation. Not going to happen this time. And Bleed, no need to call for those timeouts. They're adjusting on the fly here. And what looked like to have been a strong start for Global, Bleed starting to build things back up.
Very curious as to how it happens too. I mean, getting the information, just starting things off a little bit slow, but having an idea, at least a bit of a roadmap as to how Global Esports operates on this map. Now they're starting to feel a little bit more confident, holding the right areas, and at the same time, I mean, just a good little bit of slicing the pie for Benkai. Now coming back into it, the off, a bit of early aggression, but then punish right back. Crazy Guy with the Hunter's Fury.
Yeah, making sure that his teammate is going to be safe. What's the 2 damage on Pulvy here? Benkai snuck himself all the way up to A. Scary unawares. Egoist. Does he dare push A main right about now? Because Benkai might not leave his ultimate. If Egoist can time this perfectly, nobody from Lead is going to be aware of... Oh, never mind. That Thrash is just diabolical.
With that, the punish from Benkai onto Egoist. It's going to be Darian with the showstopper to try to bring things back for his team. It starts things off with the op shot, and that does bring numbers back just by a bit.
Pulvy slowly coming into mid. Ooh, Crazy Guy. Thought he bit off more than he can chew. This man's got molars for days. Durian. Does he risk himself to push here with the showstopper? Nah, it's... The ROI isn't good enough.
Save.
Yeah.
wanting to hold on to that operator. But I mean, still, thinking about how the round plays out, it's a lot of weird, like, individual fights. Darian with a nice attempt to try to deter them away from B at the very least. But then towards the end, like you mentioned, it was really just Benkai sneaking in. I think part of it is also how the map is laid out and Bleed not really able to watch everything. Right, you've got this double controller setup, you've got Egoist on the Cypher, but it's just not quite enough to cover all the bases. There are always these tiny gaps that Benkai, for example, can use to sneak up past alley, sneak a frag, take control over A.
That's the strength that Benkai brings to the table, right? It's his confidence, it's his timing plays that when it works, it puts you on the map. And we saw that happen when he was, well, we didn't see it, you know, come into fruition when he was trying to do that against Zeta because he was losing a lot of the fights against Laz. But here, we're seeing the polar opposite of that, which is in benefit of global esports.
Precisely. It's lovely to see how global esports are starting to move these puzzle pieces to make them all fit together. First of all, you got Polvi, who's a bit of a wild card sometimes, but then Benkai, this proven entity, and we know how he lurks. We know how he hides and strikes when the iron is hot.
Well, his iron is definitely scalding here, Quack.
Bring them down.
I mean, this is so different from the global that we've seen from a couple of from yesterday's matches. They're so controlled, they're so precise. These guys have truly woken up, and I don't know if they can continue this rampart. GE fighting truly will turn into a GE winning.
Very, very careful. And look at how they're still maneuvering across. Still Benkai on the lurk, carefully checking corners. They want to make sure that they can keep the numbers advantage as they execute in, but Scary does not let that happen.
Lightning Fast already down. Yay and Egoist. Whew, look at this, backside control. Lightning Fast cannot get out. Shut it step. Catched up by Yay, 3 kills, and Bleed 4-6. Global esports all turned on their heads with a huge paranoia from Scary.
Yeah, that's exactly what it starts out. Scary. He's the guy who puts up that roadblock. Up around B, I mean, he just has that one paranoia, and it just nicely covers the entirety of B main as they push out. He gets away with that one frag, and then the rest of the team comes in at the same time just to prevent them from going into sight easily. There's always that little opening around market, and the timing of the dark cover was a little bit off, so a little bit unfortunate for global esports. They couldn't quite break through, and wow. Off of that loss, they might just be the... Oh, no, actually, it's a Bleed timeout off of their win.
Gia is known for those kind of timeouts where it's not really to recuperate his team. It's more to try building what's already slowly built by the team with these rounds. So with that being said, it's like he's just, again, trying to maneuver, probably figure out how to deal with Benkai's lurks. Because I think has been one of the biggest issues that they've been trying to figure out against Global here. Is just how much map control Benkai really brings to the table to his new team.
Yeah, we've seen those lurks getting a little bit pesky for Bleed Esports now, but at the same time, I'm wondering what they're going to do. You got this operator, you got the showstopper too. Maybe a bit of early round aggression just to bring the momentum back under their control. We are nearing the end of the first half, and if Bleed can end this 6-6, they'll have an easier time as we swap sides. Oh, but okay, we don't see anything too early yet. Global playing things very carefully too.
Okay, spots out the camera there very quickly, breaks it down. Egoist has placed all of his tripwires on elbow here. They're much more okay with fighting A main, or A link, excuse me, than elbow without any of those utilities. Where's the cages though? Does he have no money for the cages?
Not too sure, but at the very least, yeah, there's one up by elbow. He knows that this is a spot that Global has approached many times before and wants to counter it.
Oh, that's a huge hunt. Who's got the here's the party? That is going to be Durion dunking it in the face of Benkai. And this is a bloody take here for Bleed. Somehow manages to get in. Durian throws out the nade. Can he find one? Lightning fast with the late lurk and the counter late lurk from Ye. It's 1-1, 2 versus 2. Retake will have to be done here by Bleed. But Global Esports, they've doubled up. They got a solid positioning right now. And Durian still holding this operator. We'll have to wait for Ye to double up with him. But Ye just runs into the side and, well, trips up face first into the embracing hands of Polvi and teammate. Happens twice now. Durian and GE really commanding the rounds here when they get those setups.
Especially when they get those setups. 1 second and you spot out like a foot and an arm and you're like, okay, there's more than one person here. I could have fired off a shot, but it's definitely not going to be enough to win out the round. So it's a little bit odd for Ye to swing out like that. I don't know if it's like a little bit of miscommunication, but at the very least, it can say with absolute certainty, Global Esports are fighting.
I love how you just said that. GE fighting. As of course the fans have been clamoring every single time. We've seen it on social media. Always giving their beloved team that support. Polvi's the one right now with the showstopper. How does the not connect on Ye? On the corner. Doesn't matter. Still gets the kill. Man is on a tear here. Global Esports want to make a statement to end this first half if they can. Still have to be very careful as they know that Bleed still has working pieces. They've only found Ye. They haven't got Durian yet, who has been such a thorn with this operator. They're making a lot of noise here on mid side right now, Quack, but they're coming back to A, where Durian seems to be prepared, but is he truly?
Yeah, I don't know how he can escape with this one. Oh my goodness!
He doesn't need to escape, man. He only needs to thrive, and he gets the collateral. Polvi does shut him down very quickly. Damage be done. Has to pick up the spike, 30 seconds. His teammate, Lightning Fast, trying to get that clearance so that there is a lot more opportunity for Polvi to push up onto the A site more securely. The big problem is, can he? Also, just going to put it out there, does Crazy Guy have some nasty little lineup for a default plan because he's got 2 shock darts. I don't know where, I don't know how.
I kind of expect him to be able to do that. If not, at the very least, he's got the recon for his team to come in at the retake. They've got the numbers for it. But Polvi has paint shells too. I don't know if he wants to push out even further, though. That's the thing. Because he might get punished, and that's basically going to be the round for Bleed now.
You know, I was thinking that he was going to use all of those utilities of his, but he doesn't really need to. You know why? They're not expecting him to be on the site.
Yeah.
So him just being silent and deadly is already in, you know?
But that said, you know, it also kind of works out because I don't know if it's like Polvi overheating a little bit, but peeking out over the box, I guess he just didn't quite expect Crazy Guy to be on the other side. Yeah. So we do end the first half, you know, not with a 6-6, but a 5-7, which again still isn't the worst thing in the world. That say, we shall see if this iteration of Bleed can bring them back with the pistol round. This is Global Esports' map pick after all, and they might actually have an easier time on the defense.
True, and this is the first time we're also seeing Global play this Sunset map, if I am not mistaken. So there's still so many unknown factors of how they've been truly controlling this. And of course, another one of those things is you will not really have any Sentinel, I believe, coming into that second half. So
the Viper.
I mean, we're talking about how the Viper could play as a Sentinel, but doesn't truly play as a Sentinel, right? So they have to learn how to play with that, and I'm very curious to see how they will.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You know, we were talking about it. You don't have quite the traps to really watch your backs or control the map, so it's a little bit iffy sometimes. But, you know, on a map as big as Sunset, does feel like it could be, you know, just enough. At the same time, because you're playing on defense, you just need to delay, really. And as long as Benkai stays hidden well enough, you know, you throw out those utilities, the snake bites, hold off for as much as possible, anchor down the sides, he should be good to go. But then again, comes down to map control and Bleed. The way that they move together on this map, they move as a unit.
A crazy guy committing all of his money for utility.
Standing ahead.
What a total team player.
My eyes are dull.
Okay, so it goes on mid. He wants to check if anybody pushes up on triple with that recon dart, but doesn't find anything. So the rest of Bleed now push up onto A side. Polvi, he almost got decapitated there by Egoist, but decides otherwise. Here comes Benkai. Here's the footsteps, backs away. Bleed, they've been sought after, they've been found out, and Polvi here pulverizes Egoist. That's going to leave Bleed trapped on A main. If Polvi decides to actually push the tempo right now, and Bleed, they're taking fights that they can't win. We're not done just yet. Hold on. Benkai's around the corner here, spotted out by Durion. So maybe this is the fight that Bleed are finally looking for. But there is still so much to unravel from Global Esports. So Bleed decides otherwise to go around. I think they're hoping to maybe find Polvi somewhere lurking. But as we can see, he's somewhere there on top of A link. So they're not going to find anything. But if they go to B, this is where they can find themselves a chance. But with market door being closed, they're going to burn a bit of time waiting, checking, and then in a couple of seconds they have to rush.
Either way, Global Esports holds the advantage, right? And that's the most interesting thing, at least for this round. Although it's a full new squad, they carry on the same statistics from last year in VCT Pacific, having one of the most highest number of initial round wins as Blaze King taps them all down with a ghost.
That's a huge, huge upset there for Global. 5-8. Bleed also known to make those aggressive force buys. So we're going to see that for Bleed here. And of course, the best weapon against that, which I think Polvi might pick up. Ah, there it is. Outlaw.
Just a bit of a weird thing, you know. Global Esports hasn't really called any timeouts yet. Bleed maybe called one after a round win. And with the way that they're pushing up so slowly, when you got players like Blaze King, Polvi on the other side, the slight micro timings with the way that they peek out all of a sudden, sometimes Bleed just doesn't quite expect it. So it's a bit of revenge for Blaze King as well, right? Because this, you know, was him playing on Boom Esports versus Bleed at Ascension last year. Now finding his win with a new team, new roster on Global Esports.
You're absolutely right. It means, and here's the thing, Bleed also coming off of that high with the pickup on Ye, but it feels like Ye is so out of his element here, whether it's because he's on a new team or he's on a role that he's not really truly familiar with. You can see him struggling. We were showing that scoreboard. He's at the bottom for Bleed as of this point. So you do see the struggles that Bleed are having to face, and Global are just eating that up. Oh, this wall. If it drops, Lightning Fast got a chance. Blaze King first on contact, has a seize, locks them up into the prison. If he pushes out, well, he doesn't need to because Lightning Fast is right there with him. That's going to be a quick cleanup here for Global, and they are terrifying on this control. It's not fast, but it's a slow burn here, and it is scorching Bleed little by little.
That goes dead.
I don't know what Bleed needs, but they've got to kind of like cauterize the wound or something, right? Because right now, as it goes on, you're starting to lose out in terms of rounds. They get the buy back up in full this time, but the momentum definitely on the side of Global Esports. They're toying with them so much, controlling around the map. And again, you got Polvi on this Outlaw, and the amount of damage that they could potentially put out is deadly. However, in this round, it is a Bleed with full armor, full utility. Let's see what they can do.
And again, it's one of those games where it doesn't feel like there's anything explosive that's happening, but it is by design. Global Esports are playing at such a pace that I feel like Bleed can't really read them in this situation, even if Bleed has that capability to be able to do so.
Yeah, I know it's kind of like feels really slow at times, but then there are these tiny little moments where Global Esports just accelerates just by a little bit.
Yeah.
And right now, towards market, you've got a little bit of vision from Russ as well. They might have heard something towards B main, but that's about it. So the rotation's coming over. They don't see anything.
He spot him.
Might be lightning fast, yeah, getting the call
Yeah.
over. The toxic screen at the very least is a tell. So now rotation's coming over. As long as lightning fast can do his job, you know, he still has that paranoia available.
30
Blaze
seconds
King as
left.
well with a haunt for info.
Yeah. I was actually just about to point that out. How much statistically we have and how effective Blaze King's haunts have been. Because it's been giving away so much positioning right now. Look at Durian just dodging into the site itself. Like Fast's not going to be able to escape that
Time.
one.
10 seconds
Explosion
left.
from Bleed is here. Oh, that is a huge mosh pit. That blinds everybody. Yay, just
Last
frantically
player
spraying it down. Polvy
Satchel out.
picks himself up, a Spectre, pushes up, but Scary's on top of that case, and that's going to be Bleed 6-9. What a very messy fight, but Bleed comes out on top, at least for now.
Yeah, not being able to buy back up in full might hurt them a little. But you can see it's a slightly better take, a slightly better approach towards the site. You know, being able to pull the attention back and forth. Despite Global Esports having a good read on things, the way that Bleed comes in, you've got Darion and then Scary to find the trades. They make sure that they can control the site safe enough. But again, that's just how Bleed operates. Everything so far in this entire map has been safe for both sides.
Polvy, though, pushed very far forward into the front of his opponents. His teammate giving him some leeway to pick up that orb and back away into A main. If he decides to push up, maybe he can find something, but it seems like Polvy might have overheated a little bit here, jiggling a little bit too much, and Crazy Guy capitalizing. And it's as easy as that. Now, the rest of Global pushing up on mid could put a pinch on the late lurking Ye, but B-side should be theirs. Never mind, Ye turns it back, and now he's got that late lurk that GE will have to deal with. And it's deal upon deal. All right, we're not done just yet. It's fine. We're charging in. Bad guy's huge. He gets another one. We'll get shut down by Egoist. As dust settles, who's getting the advantage right now?
Spike planted.
Feels like it's Bleed. Should be. They are pushing lightning fast, but the punishes and the quick trades for Global Esports are just too damn fast, and Bleed can't keep up.
As Blaze King approaches from behind, yeah, it's just too much going on in the round. And although Ye got some good picks early on, again, with how big the map is, Bleed loving to move together as a unit, they relinquish a little bit more map control towards, you know, the back and the sides. Unless Scary can really block things off with his smokes,
Viper down.
it sometimes just doesn't really work out all too well. And they need a little bit more fragging power right now. You got Crazy Guy who's always there to support. You got Darion who tries to rush in, but then apart from that, no one else is really there to help Darion follow up. So the site kind of falls apart as soon as they make their way in. 6-10 now will be the score, and it's going to be a Bleed that has to save. So I don't know about you, Asteroid, but this map is starting to look like it's almost over.
I feel like I was about to say, you know, never say never, as is, of course, by my favorite movie, Karate Kid with Justin Bieber and Jaden Smith. Anyways.
And Justin Bieber.
And Justin Bieber again. Yeah. Durian, though. 6 shot on mid here, but the thing is with Global Esports, right, is if you strike us, cut one head down, 2 will take its place. They are so quick at just reacting to the stimuli that Bleed is dishing out. And this hasn't been Bleed's strongest recontact at all. You can find something maybe for Ye here. Okay, never. As soon as I say that, Ye does something like this. And this makes it somewhat doable. You're absolutely right. El Diablo heating things up, right? Can they exercise it out of the sight?
Mark 2.
As the Nightfall used very haphazardly. No follow-up just to scare them, but the pit making it very difficult to them to push over. What is happening here? Egoist! He just pumps a couple of shots. He can't find nobody, and Lightning Fast finds Ye left in a 2 versus 1. Yo, what?
A little bit awkward for Egoist in that moment. Coming out of the Viper's pit, I mean, you can see the idea that he had because he's already been spotted inside as Global Esports pushes into the pit. So he tried to do what he could, but just without the firepower, I guess. Kind of whiffing some shots, and Ye at the same time separated away from him. I mean, Ye needed to stay in the pit to keep it up, right? So
yeah.
Global Esports just knowing how to make it work, having that much more confidence to go in for some of these duels. They were decisive. They took things apart. And yeah, although it was a bit of glimmer of hope from star power of Ye, it's still not quite enough to bring Bleed to a decisive win.
Speaking of not going to be enough. Oh, hold on. Olby's in trouble here. He decides to go on the other direction that might have been incorrect for him. Russ has pocketed himself onto the corner in the IGL, not falling behind. Let's go. Oh, what a control spray from Lightning Fast and Russ. Egoist now alone. Polvi might not have gotten any kills, but his teammates sure made use of the push outside of mid that he has just done. Neural Theft activated. That's going to expose the positioning. Spike not in the hands of Egoist here, though. And he is looking for a kill rather than pick up the spike first because he doesn't, even though he's exposed his opponents, he does not have the map control to really take advantage of that.
I have retrieved.
Well, let's think about this, right? You got 50 seconds left. You got full armor. You got a rifle. It's not entirely impossible. So he could go in for the spike plant first, but then where do you go after that? You know the full force and might of Global Esports. At least the last 3 players are definitely going to come after you. Russ has the Thrasher.
30 seconds
Stay
left.
in a spot that's, you know, well concealed enough that Russ can't find you. I guess Market is away. Maybe you sneak back out to the top of mid, come back in with a big flank. That is an idea, but Bankai is watching the back.
Oh my God! No! Russ actually found him! Showing what it means. Yeah, there it is. I mean, whether it's by sheer intuition or because the meter for Thrash was running out, he found him, dude. He found him. That does not feel good as Egoist. Like, he was preparing himself for a 3v1.
Egoist is not having a good day. I mean, the whip from earlier on and then now getting hit by the Thrasher like this, Egoist just does not feel good. But on the other side, for Global Esports, the way that they're coming out on this, first of all, I mean, the Thrasher just well-timed. The way that they're moving together, you've got Bankai watching the back. Every base is covered. This is the Global Esports that, you know, knows exactly how to operate, how to move.
This is what they wanted to show us on that first day, on their debut match as well, with this brandishing new roster, right? And there we go.
I think like the most impressive thing right now, or at least in that round, you know, Polvi always like kind of wild sometimes. This Finnish duelist rushes out, dies on his own. He gets information. Apart from that, Russ and Lightning Fast getting those sprays, that was something else. That truly brought the round back for them.
And this is what I've been telling the desk as well when I was with him, as you know, a day ago or so, is Lightning Fast has been not put in a position where he can really shine. And now, with, I mean, him still being on the controller, sure, but he's now put into situations where he can be put into spots where he can actually try to do something else for his team. And he's been sick at it. I mean, he's 9-10-3, but those are impact frags he's been doing.
Oh wow, and completely forgot too, Blaze King actually leading the kill feed because he's picking up a lot of pistol kills and some nice cleanups as well. Now back into it, last ditch effort from Bleed. It's going to be a bit of a contact play towards B main.
They're just running it down. I mean, everybody from Bleed was shot by the paranoia of Lightning Fast. Lightning Fast, though, holding inside his own smoke. That's about to dissipate pretty soon here as he pushes out and covers the entirety of the Bleed conspiracy on B main. Double satchel from Turion. Man is clean. Benkai's by his lonesome, and that's going to be a quick clean round for Bleed here. Not the end of the world just yet. They got 5 rounds. If they can survive it, they can push into overtime. But of course, GE always fighting.
Always, always. But of course, think about how that round turns out. I mean, it started from a timeout. Perhaps Legia just kind of anticipated such a push and having the players positioned right outside B main enabled them to go for such a fight. A little bit odd for Global Esports, you know, the last final rounds to really go in for a play such as that, but whatever it is, it puts Bleed out on top.
Standing ahead.
And it resets their economy too. Durian, they're committing their ultimates here, Quack. Very much so everything. I mean, sure. You know, if you can secure the rounds, might as well. Polvi, is he gonna stab him? No, like, okay, he still gets it. I'm losing my mind, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so sorry. I thought crazy guy just at the nick of time, right? And then Polvi just panics a little bit, brings out the classic, hits the alternate fire, tap burst. Sure, let's go with that.
Enemy remaining.
What is happening? The timings have been so wacky this round, but somehow, some way, Bleed clears it up.
Yeah, very wacky all across the board. But again, it starts off with Darian and that commit with a showstopper into elbow. It kind of throws things in for a bit of a loop, and then maybe, you know, some positioning coming through with Polvi trying to sneak up behind. But nonetheless, once Bleed gains control over sight, you know, I mean, once they know exactly what's about to happen, they're able to kind of come in and put themselves in a position to shoot things down and, you know, maybe kind of keeping spirits up. Still got 4 more rounds to go, but you are very much in the game. You got Polvi on an op now, though, and I want to see what the idea is behind this.
It is to get kills with the sniper. That is the idea. But the idea will not be turned into a reality, as it's been pretty much snuffed out by Crazy Guy here. Benkai's hoping that they might push a bit forward here. Heroics from the sub-IGL, as I probably would call it. Anyways, Bleed, clean on the take. They just waited a couple of seconds. Able to get one. Blaze King trying to hold the back of the side, but will lose control instantaneously. And the rest here of Global Esports trying to brute force their way. It might work, but Bleed have been too clean with this trade game for the past couple of rounds now. And Global Esports back again to the drawing board. They're starting to lose control here. 3 rounds a while ago might have seemed impossible, but with how they've been approaching here, Quack, it looks pretty doable from the MYSG team.
Yeah, I mean, the reads are starting to feel a little bit off from both sides. Bleed starting things out not too great, but then now starting to get an idea for how Global Esports wants to play. I mean, going for that aggressive peek up on B. Polvi, that's what that op was for, but Bleed knew exactly how to counter that, right? That's why they kind of played around a little bit more slowly. So getting these wins now, slowly coming back into the game once they get control of the sites, that's the name of the game. Global Esports calls the timeout. And again, they are sitting at map point as long as they kind of play it safe. You know, maybe they don't want to allow for Bleed to execute. But as long as they, you know, perhaps go in for a bit of a retake, all it takes is just 1 round to bring them over that finishing line.
I'd also just add that even though we are seeing the max loss bonus for Global, right, give them a lot more money to utilize, their composition is damn expensive, especially with how they've been buying the operator for Polvi. That's going to reset their economy somewhat here. In any case, though, I mean, just 1 wrong step for Bleed, and that's it for game 1. Polvi, is he going to double satchel once again? I want to see what he does on mid, though. Oh, okay, timer's still going. I thought it was like a tech pause. My brain's just slow. No, they're actually just slow pushing on top mid. No sound done, so Bleed doesn't know this. There could be a huge flank coming in, but all of the members of Bleed are just stacked outside B. If there's any kind of noise that they do on mid, or Bleed just decides to go B, there will be no resistance whatsoever here from GE.
This is what I meant, right? You got the timeout. All you need is 1 round. As soon as they, you know, play along with the numbers advantage, if they can come in for a big flank, a big retake, Bleed might not be able to hold off against it. So now Polvi back into his market. They got more lines of sight.
Benkai's gotten the first kill. Step in the right direction right now for Global Esports. Oh, no.
Ooh.
Wingman and Dizzy makes Egoist a sad, sad boy. 3 more players here for Bleed. Global Esports coming back alive. Yay and Scary. Controllers a miss. They will try to do their darndest to stop the defuse from coming in, but it will not be denied. Yay's on the last legs. No one's still defusing it right now. Wait. Okay, there we go. They just try to spray through the Viper's Pit, but it's gonna get DE9'd, and Global Esports finally find that one play to secure this first map in this elimination series.
12-9. I mean, what a great start from Global Esports. They won both pistols. They showed us that Benkai's back in form, lurking all over the map, but at the same time, what the rest of them can all do. I mean, you got Blaze King, who's just finding frags on top of frags. You've got Russ and Lightning Fast coming back into trade, and also just Pulvy doing Pulvy things. It's a little bit odd for Bleed to come in this slow, but at the same time, Global Esports, that final round off of the timeout, they knew exactly what they were doing.
Because of that, we're just going to pass it on to the desk to discuss things even further.
Sunset belongs to Global Esports, and I feel like, we did mention that Bleed was feeling confident with the map vetoes, but we did hear that Global was actually feeling very confident on Sunset.
Yes, they absolutely were, and I mean, they showed why. This was overall very, very clean from them. Bleed looking like they were going to have a bit of a run back there at the very end after that final timeout coming through, but it's so difficult. I mean, Global already being up in 12 rounds, locked in. This means that all they have to do is get that last one. They finally managed to make it happen. There was some nice setups at the end, some nice early picks coming through.
Yeah, and of course, as the cast just mentioned at the end as well, picking up those both pistols and then, of course, the anti-ecos to chain into that really helped them, because if you really got the scoreline, if that didn't go their way, this could have flipped on its head the other way. So we have to always keep that in mind. Obviously, GE, they were very well known in the old roster with their pistols as well, so maybe trying to continue that trend. But the biggest thing is what we talked about before the game. Can they show us why they're picking these maps and compositions? And this time we saw that chain of utility. I mean, even in that last round, just throwing everything they got to make sure egos can't focus the same around the corner.
Yeah, and that was brilliant as well, because you're distracting everybody so much and they're not exactly sure where to go, and suddenly they're lost, and once that hesitation kicks in, and then that's when they strike, right? But I do have to commend Blaze King. Had an amazing game. He was really carrying hard. He was really pushing it, not afraid to be aggressive even when it didn't call for it, actually.
Yeah, and this was very much the Blaze King we were anticipating to see yesterday on their opening series. It was a bit of a rougher time for him, didn't have the impact that we were looking for, that we have come to expect from him in his past over on Boom, but this was very much prime Blaze King coming out the gate. Really great scoreline for him the whole way throughout. That presence was felt. He was getting those early picks as well, so even just getting involved as far as the first kills are concerned. But this is exactly what we wanted to see from GE, and exactly what we said they needed to do. Come out swinging, get that lead nice and early, and start to run away with it. Sow that seed of doubt in the minds of Bleed, because now they're saying, okay, we didn't close that out. Yes, we do have our map pick, but we're one map away from being eliminated from Kickoff.
That's a rough spot to be in. Whether you are the Ascension team coming in as the new partner or not, I mean, you want to have a bit of a stronger showing. You want to have a bit of a longer showing in the very first week that you enter VCT Pacific and Bleed. Potentially it ends in the very next map. One of the biggest things I'm noticing is, again, with some of these role changes that we're seeing across, I know Darian used to be known for his duelist, but right now, it doesn't seem to quite be there. Even himself, right, not being able to always check the right corners and then communicate that to the rest of his team to trade off of it. Things like that. Things just seem not quite in step just yet for the Bleed Esports. So as we're going on to the next map, hopefully, because it's their pick, their composition, their set plays, their timings are a little bit more in tune.
We are seeing the roster as well on the side of Bleed, flex a little bit, and I'm not sure with a roster that's still, sort of like gaining ground and still like kind of finding their bearings right now. I'm not sure if that's exactly the right choice to go with. I mean, right now we're not exactly seeing, it paying off, right?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it's a really rough look right now. So these constant flips around, the flexibility that they're trying to build up here on the side of Bleed, it's not finding the results that they want at the moment, and it really needs to. So I'm curious, with Icebox getting ready to come through, are they going to continue with this? Are we going to keep seeing Ye on some new things? Are we going to keep flipping these rolls around a little bit, or are they going to go for something a little bit different?
Yeah, 24-11 KD for Blaze King. Like you said, Achilles, this is the type of player that we expect him to be, and that matters a lot because now that allows Povey to really just be the entry, creating space. Whether he's always getting the kill or not, he still puts up quite a few to his name, but now he has that confidence to say, I know someone's got my back. I know someone who can trade. I know someone who can clutch, So I'm going to go in and really fulfill that role as the primary and this time the only duelist.
Blaze King says, Ascension wasn't that long ago. I still remember everything you guys are doing. And even with Ye on their side, right now as controller, I do have to say, he didn't look exactly as comfortable as I thought I would see him. And especially when you have Scary already locking that role, I'm not sure if, you want to push somebody like Ye into that role or force it, rather.
Yeah, something that we're seeing from Ye is, okay, his just pure mechanics itself, we're seeing the same style that he had in terms of how he holds his angles and how he's aiming, and it still seems pretty crispy, but not quite, like you said, in those situations that he's used to, right? It's very different than when you're playing aggressively as a duelist or you're holding as a sentinel. You have to be a little bit more flexible and in some ways a little bit more crafty when you're playing these controllers, and we're not seeing that 100% yet for Ye.
No, we're not. And I think it's just, one of the cases where he needs more time on this. So you can't just really jump into this role that is fairly different from what you're used to playing. Yes, lingering around, lurking. He's done plenty of that when it comes down to the chamber, but the Viper itself, very different as far as the util and what your capabilities are with that agent. So I think it's going to take some more time, but unfortunately, time is not something that Bleed have a lot of.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they could soon.
Well, they could have plenty of time. They don't have a lot of time here in Kickoff.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But yeah, obviously, you don't want the run to enter early just to buy time. You want to be able to extend it while you're on the stage. And Blaze King is here to say no, that's not going to happen. This time, I will be the one to try to eliminate you, and he's only one map away from doing so.
That's right. But we are now going to head into Icebox, and that's going to be the pick of Bleed. And I'm thinking here, we're going to be seeing a lot more confidence from Bleed. We might be seeing Ye on the roll in the playstyle that we actually want to see him.
We're still waiting.
We're still waiting. I know, exactly. We're still waiting, and I feel like, a lot of fans are like, oh, we shouldn't have to wait this long for that. But maybe it's a card that they want to keep close to them at the moment. But right now for Kickoff, it's either they show that, it's either they play that, they go hard, or they go home.
Yeah, and then on the other side, my eyes continue to be on Blaze King going on to that Icebox as well, because his showing in their last match was not good. I mean, the comfort level on that Silva did not seem to be there. The timings alongside Rust for the KO was not there, and that's a weakness that Bleed is definitely looking to exploit.
Yeah, it absolutely is. But maybe they have something a little bit different getting ready to come out here. Icebox, fairly different map. And we can see different iteration. We can see different info gatherers coming out on this one. So, I mean, Silva's still going to be fairly common. But even the KO, I think, on this map would find a lot more advantages, a lot more information compared to where we saw them running it before. So if they do run that, I think that it's going to be better placed. But even then, I'm happy to see something a bit different. But for Bleed, I think it might be time. I think it might be time for Ye to play Jet.
Bring it out.
I'm ready to see him play Jet again. I think that would be good. If you're gonna go out, at least give the fans what they want to see.
Absolutely. I am for it. I'm like, whoa, we shouldn't be waiting this long for this moment, right? Especially since Ye, of course, is one of the biggest pieces of news, roster changes that come out of Pacific, and I feel like right now, they're still hiding that. But I feel like on the side of global esports, it's slowly coming into shape. We're seeing right now a lot of it is on the back of Blaze King's aggression, but we're seeing some of that strategy come in, some of that coordination come in, which I'm very happy to see. I'm very happy to be proven wrong, of course.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's where we're always at, really. It's like, we have our expectations, but if they are going to be subverted, then that's never really a bad thing. It just means that the team is playing better than we had anticipated. And the higher the ceiling is out here in Pacific, the better the games are for the viewers, for us as commentators, and just Valorant enjoyers in general. So if we're going to be surprised, that's always a positive.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, things like how you chain that utility and what value you're getting out of it. Global esports, I mean, they talked about it a little bit themselves, but everyone agreed when you saw that roster, that's what it was built for. To show us these neat little tricks and how you're gaining advantage bit by bit across the map. So I'd love to see that upgrade and change here on Icebox.
Going back into the previous map, right? As you mentioned, the chain of utility from global esports, but I do have to say, on the side of Bleed, you did have those stellar moments from Darion. Yes, the duelist looks a little bit rusty compared to, his heyday all the way back in, APAC or like C Challengers and everything, but right now, we are seeing shades of it come back. We are seeing why he was picked for this roster and why he is put on this role.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned it has been a while, right? So while I did point out it looks a little rusty, the point is it's rusty. He used to be very well known as that primary duelist on some of the older rosters that he played on, including back in the earlier days of Bleed Esports. So obviously, they've had to do a little bit of a shuffle in the offseason in terms of roles. As long as he's continued to get used to it, we should see him come back alive. Of course, a pretty notable moment right there as well.
It always feels so bad. I mean, even even with some of the detains we had earlier, we didn't have the knives coming through. There was
Yeah.
enough respect. When Mako had his big oopsie just yesterday on Lotus, they went, we'll just shoot you. But no, not today. They know who they're playing up against. They know that they want to send a statement. Again, getting that fear of elimination in your opponent's heads, that can be driven in with a knife as well.
It looks like we are heading into Icebox right
Ye's on
now.
Jet.
Yay
and
on Jet!
We finally get it. We finally get Ye on Jet, and he will be up against Colby on a Jet. We're finally seeing that dogfight happening, right?
And this comp, I mean, first of all, obviously very common comp on the side of Bleed Esports. Global sticking with what they showed last time as well, but it also works very well for Bleed's style and their roles.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it's going to be so exciting indeed to see this. I cannot wait. Let's get right into it. Map number 2, Icebox, over to Quack and to Asarai.
Ye's got his moments a couple that one game ago. But when you put him on that duelist, his signature role here, Quack, can this turn the tide for Bleed?
He's got to do what he's got to do. If he doesn't, then, bye-bye Bleed. Hello, India. So, I mean, I can't wait to see what happens, right? We've been talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
Desk was hyping it up before the match started. Polvi versus Ye. It just didn't quite deliver on Sunset, excuse me. But onto Icebox, surely it'll deliver.
Yeah, it put us on the loop, definitely, where it felt like there was just such a different pacing that we're not really used to. The tempo was everywhere on that first game, and it felt like Bleed also felt that as to how they just couldn't really outmaneuver Global Esports. That's not taking away Global Esports that had a phenomenal first game. Anyways, as the pistol starts to go here, contact will be at A site. Very low dart coming in from Blaze King. It might actually have hindered a lot more of the information gathering that was being hoped for here by Global Esports. Bleed
Spike
now
down A.
starting to march their way up into the push here. Benkai gets immediately spotted, not yet gutted, but he's getting pushed out, and his teammate is not gone. Lightning Fast is holding on. If he can reposition as well, has the spike plan not yet done. I thought they were pushing for that A site, but with all this happening, they could rotate to B.
I think that's their option. They don't really want to stay. They're no longer welcome on the A site, especially Benkai down that low. Just a bit of question marks in the minds of Bleed players. Have they rotated? I mean, clearly now that you've pushed up Belt and cleared out the corners, you're anticipating that. They know they've got numbers advantage. They've got the shock dart. They've got the high tide, the cove. They're going to come in with this retake.
Oh, that alarm bot is deactivated. It just came up right now. Lightfast is aware, but Durion's too quick. And now Benkai, 27 HP.
Removed.
Man, he's an aim monster. Another one at the flank that's going to be Egoist. His turret is up, so if he gets some breathing space, maybe he can actually close the distance and utilize it, but he just decides to go for those gunfights, which makes a lot of sense since Crazy Guy was already in the site itself. Not going to work out. And Bleed claimed their first victory, or first round.
With that, carrying forward through, just trying to keep themselves warmed up in this chilly Icebox. I mean, we saw how the pistol round goes off, and it's just a better setup towards this site. You've got Scary watching as they push through.
Remaining.
Global Esports can't really just dive in that freely anymore. They could do that a little bit more on Sunset. They were set up around elbow. They had the get-go. This time, not so much.
Wait. Global Esports, they've gone for the force buy. I mean, it was an expensive round on both sides, and they got the extra money from the plan. But, all right, I want to see Outlaw Country, baby, because this Outlaw can really make some damage on either side. Push up already from Russ here, getting closer and closer. He hasn't gotten the most value off of his KO, as was being pointed out a day ago by the desk. Scary finds one. Jurion still holding the mid lurk just in case. But it's the full blown push of Global Esports here on that A site. Blaze King. It's not going to work. Fortunately, plant will commence. And the post will happen.
I mean, they've already got the numbers advantage, dwindling Global Esports as they try to push in. So despite this being a forced buy, it's not going to be an easy one. Good shot from Polvi, though.
Oh, it's a big flash. There you go. That's what they were looking for. Blaze King throwing the utility inside the smoke. Gets himself an advantage here, repositions. They don't know where he is. And you're absolutely right. Polvy's Outlaw is something to be feared about as Global Esports dismantling the defense and making this force buy work out in their favor.
Wow, what a way to bring things back. Global Esports just coming in. First of all, you have the Outlaw. Second of all, like the flashback that you just mentioned, Asarai. Bleed doesn't really know how to play against this. I mean, we did see Global Esports playing this, just a few days ago. But I don't know. It feels almost as if it's not enough game tape for he had to study up just yet. I mean, this retake completely throwing Bleed Esports for a bit of a loop.
You know what? It makes a lot of sense too for some force buys to contain or to have the Outlaw. Because if you think about it, it works on both ways. Even if you win the pistol round, right? You're usually going to have half shield Bulldog, maybe half shield Spectre, because you don't want to commit the full buy and, quote unquote, waste money. But if your opponent realizes this and you buy the Outlaw and you're good enough to hit a couple of those shots, you're in for a very strong round where your weapons should be able to one-shot the team that just beat you a round ago.
That's precisely why this weapon is a deadly force. This is why they picked it up. And on the other side for Global, continuing to push forward now. They can't just stop the spike plant happening.
It's so messy. Look at this, Polvy. It's not only something that's got his elevation working in his favor. Ye and Ego is stuck at the back of the site. They were able to pick up a couple of weapons, but it's just not working out so well for them. Benkai comes in from a swing all the way on screens, and that's going to be a complete shutdown. Global Esports get themselves another round, and the weird pacing that we were feeling from that last game feels like it's gone here. Global Esports are running rampant in the Icebox map.
Well, look at Russ off of the zipline too.
Didn't even see that one.
On to the next round, though. I don't know if they can keep this up because keep in mind, Bleed Esports are going to buy up in full. Definitely some adaptations coming in. However, if Global Esports changes things up, play for some long-range duels with Polvy's Outlaw, try to pick off some of these Bleed players, just might be able to keep their lead.
And don't forget, there's no healer here. So if Polvy can just even, get those body taps, theoretically or situationally, if he can, it still works in the favor of Global here. Anyways, you're absolutely right. They do have the strength in numbers now.
Right.
Great firepower as well as the full buys, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, this is why Global Esports is tapping the brakes for this this round at the very least. But at the same time, Global Esports isn't giving up too much. Darren committing the high tide, blocking off all of this vision. It's been obfuscated. Polvy can't see anything. The tide goes down, but here comes Crazy Guy information gathered.
No.
Can't see it.
Yeah, maybe no information gathered. Polvy and Ye,
Here.
they're just barely missing each other here. Ye's holding a different angle. It's just one thin piece of metal. There's Ye, but he unleashes the entirety of this. Durion's been exposed at the back of the site.
30 seconds
Might not
left.
be long for his world, but because they haven't commit the push fully, he can still reposition. And he is using that wall. He is using the smoke.
standing.
It still just gets thrown up in the air. That's going to be
Spike planted.
another great global contact, and Scary forced to save. So these Outlaws, man.
Absolutely hurts Bleed's economy.
Exactly.
So apart from that, I mean, just right now, these guns, the way that they're pushing in, being so patient, playing around with Bleed's setups. I don't know about you, Asarai, but I feel like I need a timeout pretty soon because Global Esports are reading them and knowing exactly how to come in for the site push.
And what's good about this is, talking about side pushes and everything,
Here.
is Global Esports isn't leaving Polvy to push by himself to create that Outlaw by itself, right? The Outlaw's a strong weapon, sure, but it gets its most value when you threaten it coupled with your teammates. And I think Global have been realizing this a lot more. So we're seeing the fruits of that ideology come into full swing as of now. And Polvi hasn't really had the need to upgrade at all. He didn't even buy his next weapon. I'm pretty sure he just picked it up from someone else, but of course he's going to drop it because he has blades, and so on and so forth. That's going to be a call in a timeout.
Okay.
Did not expect this to happen, but it makes a lot of sense because Bleed, they're starting to get in trouble.
Yeah. You don't want to give them too much either if you die and drop your weapon. So, timeout timeout being called, and it's going to be Bleed to figure things out, just like I mentioned. I mean, we haven't, we're hyping up this pick on Jet for Ye, but we're not seeing too much just yet. In the pistol rounds, he hasn't really been able to come in and do what he does. Maybe back then on the chamber, he does a little bit more, but this time, still, the whole team, the whole map, they haven't really been put in a prime enough position, right? You're always playing catch up, you're always defending, being so passive, hiding back sight. And then that just gives Global that much more space to execute.
There's so many, I feel like, reasons as well as why he can't do that. We saw Bleed try to push out on A main, but because of the drone, the walls, he got to be pushed back. Now he doesn't want to pick a fight without his tailwind, so he plays a lot farther back into the side. But because of how close Global can get in without needing to get contact and then explode out as an entire 4-stack, it makes it so that Ye can't really get that first pick and then back away. So it's been just so many obstacles that Bleed have to try to deal with on this defense that hasn't again addressed by them in these couple of rounds.
Yeah, I guess now that he's got a Marshall, maybe trying to find some kind of a sneaky pick. Then again, Polvi trying to do the same thing with the Blade Storm. But right now, Bleed just trying to make sure that Global doesn't get to execute on A as many times as they've done before. But that's it. I mean, all of these utilities, even with Scary's Toxic Screen, it doesn't block off enough.
They got closer now. A couple of body tags. Ye is in trouble. He's pulling out a couple of those smokes, the cloud bursts, but it doesn't stop the barrage of bullets being thrown apart here by Global Esports. It gave the weapon to Polvi that he's used up every single blade that he's gotten. The rest of Global now pushing all the way onto B, where no lick.
You've got Egoist, though, so he might be able to hear what's going on, so he calls the rotations over. But again, without the guns, without the vision, they really can't do all too much in this retake. Global is just controlling things. Ye, again, getting shut down because of Russ and the whole team spraying him down. And now numbers advantage, they're just sitting pretty. They've got the null command, not really necessary either. Just waiting for Bleed to peek into them.
Polvi's just been put in a pedestal where Polvi do go things. The things that he does, so scary up against Bleed. He might have overextended his welcome a little bit with that peek of his, and this coaxes the push with the Reckoning, and somehow Bleed comes in, Egoist with the double kill already, pushing up the huge use on that dart, and in the matter of a split second, it's just all been turned up in their heads. Bankai gets the double spray down, and he almost stops the defuse. 0.2 seconds. I almost held my breath there. Absolutely turned over its head. Bleed, what was that miracle of a play?
I forgot about the 1 star factor. I mean, first of all, yes, you might have Scary getting a kill, but at the same time, Darian's Reckoning, this is such a useful ultimate. It throws them off. Global Esports wanting to reposition themselves. Ego is making use of that timing to push up front with the classic. And as soon as they picked up the guns, yes, Bankai, try as he might, can't stop the incoming onslaught.
It was because of the Cove too. It absorbed enough of the damage that they were able to defuse it.
Great decision making by Darian then.
And a huge mishap on Polvi. He swung out to like 3 people from Bleed checking him out.
Oh.
Which was a big no-no. Polvi, though, he just got through. Gets the first pick. Crazy guy right on top, but Russ immediately gets the refrag. Dust settles,
so
that's going to be Scary alone. And has been the clutch meister when Bleed was playing in Ascension Pacific. But a Pacific League, at least for this particular game, hasn't had the chance to do so.
He was clutching quite a bit against T1 as well, but man, right now it's 4 targets on a map like Icebox with the spike planted. I don't know how you can clutch this round out. And apart from that, again, it's the same problem. This A site, Global Esports, first of all, you got Russ with the suppressive knife from KO, and it just blocks off or gives him enough information. Ye has not been having a good day whatsoever, and that just softens up the site so much. As soon as Ye falls, the rest of Global Esports just decides that they can rush in. Takes Crazy Guy to be perched up on top of screens to get a couple of frags, but that's about it. So, you know, even Crazy Guy, who we've seen before in the past, he's got these counter recon darts that allow him to spray down as soon as the opponents try to go in for spike plants. He's not able to do it right now because he's the only one left on site. So Bleed Esports, I don't know what the timeout was about from before, but we're not really feeling it just yet.
I think with all of what you mentioned, the one biggest takeaway for me has got to be Russ. He was, I think, very shaky, you know, with that match that they've had against Zeta, but this time it's all very much different. Crazy Guy, you were talking about how he's got some nasty setups, and there it is. Null Command is available here for Russ to utilize to make himself into a very strong force. Even though he's down to 30 HP, shouldn't matter as much as long as they can use him to batter the ram into that A site. But it's a cut of noise for now. They did hear the Viper Pit was activated elsewhere, so maybe a strong inkling that it is B, so no need to push there anymore. And Durian, ooh, what a risk that he's taking right now.
You should run.
They are just right underneath each other. Spotted. Does he know about the belt person? He does not. Blaze King comes in. Ye does get the 1 kill, but it is all for naught here, Quack, as Benkai gets the trade. That lockdown is still up and running. Doesn't get any detains, but it clears out the rest of this site. So we do have a clean 3v2 in this post.
Russ is pretty low. Egoist has the lockdown, might be able to use it to push Global Esports back. But then at that point, it comes down to gunplay. How can Scary and Egoist break up the site well enough to sneak a plant? They've managed to shoot out some nano swarms, but at the same time, Toxic Streak can only stay up for that long. Benkai tosses in... Oh, wait, no. Lightning Fast tosses in yet more, and well, at this point, you've run out of time. The lockdown invested, but no returns. Asteroid, this hurts for Bleed.
Yep, very much so. It feels like they have that really good setup, and then there's just that one mishap that changes everything, right? That one thing, and then it all just gets unraveled by Global Esports. And man, this is the performance that GE truly was hoping to showcase, right? It's these strong individual pieces that have their spot. Russ's IGLing, Benkai's ability to create those tempo plays, pull these star power from the finish scene. It's all coming together here in this elimination match, and it looks like they're the team to eliminate the Ascended team from Ascension.
What a story. I mean, again, you know, everyone's talking about Ye. We keep interviewing him and whatnot, but still not quite feeling it. And as we go back in, we're back into the same A play. You've got Benkai and Lightning Fast up towards mid. But even then, you know, talk about a plan gone wrong from before. Darian didn't really know how to respond either when he pushed up.
Ooh,
now it's Polvy.
Polvy. What a positioning there. And again, they were just waiting for that wall to drop down before they start exploding into the site. And it feels like this plan has been replicated, changed up a little bit, but still the A site is where GE find their home. Sure, they've rotated a couple times to B, but here on A, Bleed have no true answers. They will get the 1 kill, GE gets 2. They'll get 2 kills, GE gets 3. What is the answer right now? Ye's on his blades, and there's really no reason for him not to go for this. But with the doubling up of these 2 players from Bleed and that spike positioning not really to his favor, man is in a tight spot, to say at the least. And yeah, I mean, what could you expect? That was a 3v1, and nobody from Global was showing themselves up until that very last encounter.
El Diablo or El Hermano. I don't really know what Hermano means, but
Oh, okay. All right.
still,
As a Filipino, I can't tell you.
it's just global esports in this A hit. It's so darn good with the way that they've got 3 players covering each and every lane.
Yeah,
And sometimes, you know, like you mentioned how they switch things up. Sometimes they just hold up around pipes and play around with the timing of things. And then Darren gets invited. He gets a little bit too curious, gets punished for it. I almost kind of want to see Bleed Esports change up the pace. I kind of want to see Bleed Esports push out. But then there are so many factors to consider, so that's another reason why, you know, it feels too risky to make something like that happen. You've got the operator invested in this round. Global Esports steps out the first few seconds with a bit of a default hold in case there is such a push out. Not that there isn't, back towards A.
At this point, any Hail Mary that Bleed can try to do, feels like they should do it right at this point. They've been so pushed far back that there's not really a lot of options they can use. Look at how all the defenders are here on A except for Ye, but then nobody is there playing on the site itself, right? And since GE haven't found that contact, they're like, something's amiss here. We have our teammate Blaze King pushing up on Garage right now, so maybe with like 40 seconds left, we can either cut the noise, wait a little bit for this wall to go down, or if Blaze King can get a pick, we can just go run all the way to that B site.
And that's what Global Esports has as an option. But you know what? A has worked out so well, they're just going to keep going in for it. I kind of like the positioning from Bleed this time, playing so far back. Let them in. Let's see if we can kill the spike planter. Play around with the timings of the retakes. Make sure that Global Esports can't really feel too comfortable, even if they have won this site so many times before.
They're running down this clock very, very much. Nano Swarms could provide some indication of denial. Egoist, pretty damn good on that one with the kill here on Polvi.
Ooh,
Late lurk from Blaze King. Dart, presence known outside of screens. If he can get a couple of picks, that should be lethal for him. While his teammates on the side are fighting back, and Blaze King somehow manages to pick up Crazy Guy. Durion does get the refrag, but that is time wasted for the favor of Global Esports. Coming in back onto the site, Viper's Pit makes it very difficult for them to push up, but they found lightning fast. That pit's going down. Time is ticking. Benkai's still alive. Did he press any late nano swarms?
Yeah.
And Russ is also doing the same with the fragment.
Wow.
They're buying as much time as they can. Russ pushes up, gets denied. Spike. Ooh, I don't know. It's close. And it's barely just defused there by Bleed. 0.95. They somehow managed to grind enough gears. Just grit their teeth for that defuse as well for the round win.
Just a second. I mean, this is very funny in contrast because the way that Global Esports played post-plant in this round is exactly how Bleed Esports would have played it, you know, just a year ago or two, especially on a map like Bind. The post-plant lineups, you got the nano swarms, you got the fragment, and it just burns down so much. But that said, even with a Viper's Pit up, Bleed at the very least, because they play so far back, they were able to play around at the timings like I mentioned, and then get some frags in. Right? That's what they really need. Softening up those defenses as soon as the spike goes down. Now, Global wants to change up the plan. Ye is positioned for this. Surely he delivers.
Blaze King can use his... Oh, no! Ye! Man got the opportunity to do so, but he whiffed the shot, and now he might be forced back here, and I don't know, man.
There are no words.
That was a big mishap.
There are no words. It is what it is. We keep going forward. Global Esports have been doing such a good job. You know, whether it's bits of timing or just the sudden peaks out, they're able to react so quickly to take him down. But guess what? Crazy Guy comes back in with the Guardian play. Spike not down yet, but surely soon enough.
Ooh.
And Bleed are trying to wrap back in around this, make them feel uncomfortable.
Turn the Tide activated here from Durion, forcing them into the embracing hands of Crazy Guy. He's been good on the Guardian for 2, but he can't convert it into the 3rd. Reckoning denies just a lot of this one. Durion is so close to the rest of them, but they haven't planted anything just yet. The miss of the bullets, but Russ is there to back up his teammate, and Egoist is left into a 3 versus 1. He can get close, He might be able to find Russ and Member here, but he cannot convert. And Global Esports once again find the opening, not this time on A, but on B.
And it's just, it's really, I really want to like keep believing in this Yay hype train, but at some point, you know, I'm going to let the devs talk about it. Meanwhile, let's talk about what's good, right? Because Global Esports, with the way that they're pushing in like this, yes, Crazy Guy got some couple of good shots in, but then they immediately knew how to recover off of it. Blaze King coming back in, always good for the trades, always good to clean things up with the rest of the crew.
You're absolutely right. As long as Global Esports is in a position where they're so quick to realize whether it's a good play to follow up on or not, Bleed cannot make these many mistakes, right? And Ye got two crucial mistakes laid out in front of Global. First one was, of course, the whiff that we saw in Polvi, and the second one was just not giving up the tailwind to reposition quickly enough to get back into, you know, better cover. Sure, you're gonna lose your map control, but at least you still have your life to try to retake the site with the rest of Bleed. So again, Global realizing this and challenging that is working for the South Asian team.
It's working out so well, Asarai. Global Esports, what a day. I mean, first of all, winning both pistols from the previous map, now coming up huge in such a fashion. They started off this first half maybe losing the pistol, but as soon as they came in with that force buy, breaking and wrecking Bleed's economy, they've managed to find this momentum, and they are not looking to slow down. So far, the default towards the start has been to take things slow and easy, but off at the timeout, they want to let it rip. Oh!
Crazy Guy's letting it rip, though. He's letting his presence known. It's a bait and switch play between him and Ye. That was a huge one. They realized that Crazy Guy is consistent as ever, even through all of these mishaps that Bleed have put themselves into, and they utilize that. Reducing the numbers of Global Esports is a huge benefit here for Bleed. The rest of Bleed, or excuse me, Global, now rotating elsewhere on the map.
I don't know if these movements are felt. Egoist is definitely in position, you know, now deciding to really kind of reinforce the mid ground, although it's not really been a lane that Global has explored before. I don't know how much this Stinger can do, though. Spots the shoulder, goes in for the spray, tries to reload, but it's a quick trade. Now, B-site might be open unless Scary can turn things around.
Did Blaze King already gave away his position on yellow? Well, regardless, Scary's pretty much aware of what could happen here right in front of him. And makes quick work of Blaze King. Bleed come back to strike.
Last round in the half.
For one round, off of plays from, you know, Egoist, Darian, Crazy Guy. 4-7, last round of the first half. Ye still on that operator.
Look at that. I love the bait and switch, man. Crazy Guy is always that person to make that happen. You know?
I got two.
I got two.
That he did. Man is a mathematician. More than that, he's a crazy good Valorant player. All right, let's see what happens here. Null Command's been activated already. There's the utilization of the Null Command. No escape here for Ye, as he only gets the shutdown on the one. Lightning Fast and the rest of Global Esports as they just keep getting kill after kill after kill. Leaves Scary to his devices. And unfortunately, Lightning Fast is just too quick for him to deal, leaving us with a 4-8 as we end the first half.
Quick pushes. Again, I mean, same thing from Global Esports. Earlier on, it kind of got halted because of Crazy Guy and, you know, maybe a bit of luck, maybe a bit of skill and knowing how to fake them out. But this time, as Global Esports push in a lot tighter, you know, shoulder to shoulder, back to back, everyone chips in. And then the Null Command to really just feels bad for Ye, but counters him outright. Gets the one, but that is it. And then everything else flowing through. The rest of the squad from Bleed, you know, just weren't really quite in position to gun them down. They tried to go in for some of these fights, but then just ultimately lost out in full. Global Esports, this execute. Russ, Null Command on the KO. Everyone else picking up on these frags as well. just the next level.
Yeah, sorry. I saw Polvi, just wink a little bit at the camera. Dude's having fun. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It just feels like Bleed, they put themselves in a position where it could work if they didn't have such a cold hand in this second map, right? There are positions or situations where you saw that Ye could have gotten so much impact, but just fell short of. And it feels like some of these crucial rounds is just that. It's just that one falling short of. And unfortunately for Bleed here, that means that Global picks up a 4-round advantage over them.
Precisely that. And now, feeling this 4-round advantage, Global could potentially end this 2-0 moving forward in kickoffs. Whereas Bleed, dude, this is not how you want to start. Elimination matches right here. Who wants it more?
Well, Polvi seems to say, I do, with that first pick on Crazy Guy. Trade for trade, though, but Ye is down to 45. Still trapped for Global here on B Long between Russ and Lightning Fast. And it seems like Bleed only cut a little bit of that noise, looking for that rotation out. But they still want to push this up. Global Esports holding their position. Russ, I don't know if he spotted Ye here or if Ye's going to check the corner, and it is trigger discipline. Ye has, oh my god, Lightning Fast does get the trade-off, down to 4 bullets, and he will get immediately dealt with by the rest of Bleed. Bleed now, slowly creeping up onto the B side. One playing at the back of things. Benkai swings out. Fortunately, everybody's just too quick. Blaze King does get the quick trade. Does he know about the late lurk here from Egoist on mid that Recon Dart will expose? So his suspicions are correct. Big tags, one more, and he will be able to get that. Bleed gets it. And I just heard it very, very loud nice from one of the players of Bleed.
Wanting to keep spirits up, right? You win the pistol again. Not sure if Global's going to force this time, or probably not. Considering, in fact, also they're starting out on defense. There's not too much that you know. So this round really just came down to some of these trades. A little bit awkward at times, but as we take first contact, Egoist with the Sheriff, you're getting more kills towards the map, and then back towards B. Everyone's got each other's back, even if there are some tiny mistakes here and there.
That's all you want, right? Being able to have those quick trades if need be. And the quicker the better.
Ooh,
indeed. I mean, there's still an alarm bot on mid, so even if they overpush this, it should give away their position. So the only undetected rotation that Global can do right now is either push out of tube, go underneath orange, but even then, right, that will be cleared up by Bleed once they start pushing in on B here.
This is such an interesting strat, though. 3 down tube. Then you've got Benkai up around Boiler making a bit of noise. Now they peek out. They don't see anything. So Bleed just completely bypasses all of it. Free plant.
Egoist does get overwhelmed. How much damage did he tag the rest of the flankers? A fair amount, so they will be able to clear up a weapon. And they go the other direction. I love this from Global. They're just like, yeah, they're going to expect us on B main. Let's just push on orange. We'll use the body system. It's not us as buddies. It's us using you as a body shield as they push up into the side as a 4-man. Look at this. They're just going to waterfall to the side. I love the idea. But of course, Bleed, all they got to do is set their crosshairs to eliminate.
Here.
And boy, will they. Russ down to 4. I mean, if you could keep them inside this event horizon radius, this could be a good thrifty round for Global as the rest of Bleed are just running for dear life. Who will die? Yay, so I feel like that's still a win here for Global in a way.
Take some guns away from them, right? I mean,
I like to play. It's so good.
That's a nice way to put it. Throw bodies at the solution. It's a pistol round anyway. You're not going to be able to get away with too much, especially when the Bleed players are that sharp. So do what you can. Even Crazy Guy's laughing at it.
Yeah, he realizes what happened too.
But as reality sets back in, next round, you've lost 3 guns. You can't really do all too much in this one. Polvi now on the operator. No armor whatsoever, though, so full-on glass cannon. This could either be a really good pickup for Bleed if Pulvy dies, or, you know, Global gets to hold on to it and make some damage happen on another day.
Durian is sitting on a reckoning, by the way. Ah, yes, there it is. As soon as I mention it, activates it straight up. Are they going to push through this, though? I mean, yeah, they can get those stuns working for them, but how well can they trade? Pretty damn well, actually, here for Bleed. Russ is by himself in the back of the site, holding on, and he will be able to shut down Ye. 2 versus 3 here. Cove gives some entryway here for Durian, who was able to pick up a rifle, picks down Russ, and is making it a very good case right now that Bleed's bonus is pretty damn successful. The swing out, the trade in. Durian's been spotted on Heaven, and Benkai in a 1 versus 1. Can the former Paper X player do it? Unfortunately not, as Durian clutches for the 4K, and Bleed are inching their lead even closer to Global.
Definitely felt like it was Benkai's kill to have, but Darian, in such a dire situation, still able to put himself up on top. I mean, think about how they just approached in. Yeah, you mentioned it. Darian has been giving some bits of good decision-making all throughout. You know, whether it's the Cove from before or the Reckoning in this round, and then the kill towards the end. Just good sense as to where Benkai would be.
And you also, you know, go back on the point where you have Pulvy with that glass cannon. Expensive rounds. So that's really going to merit the hard save here from Global. Maybe just a couple of flashes, couple of those shock darts, but other than that, it's all classics all the time. Ye puts himself up on the boost spot on Generator. Does get the pick onto Russ here. Wow. And they're just going into his crosshairs. He does take a bit of damage, but that's just a pistol, man. That's not going to take him down very quickly. Benkai, yikes, actually goes almost a takedown. But Bleed's been pretty clean these past couple of rounds, and it's all down to Pulvy now, who is very far from the situation.
I just got to play his Game Boy. You know?
You can't say that.
1v4.
You know, it's the Radiant Entertainment System. It's his.
Oh, okay.
It's his Radiant Boy.
Radiant Boy. There we go.
Yeah.
Totally forgot.
Copyright infringement, man.
RES. I mean, at the very least, still want to go for that round loss bonus. But on the other hand, now Ye starting to open things up. Starting to look a little bit better for Bleed as they tie things up with the score.
Yeah. Global Esports are stumped. Ever since, you know, the second half happened, it's a 4 straight round here for Bleed. And now we're equalized up. And I do like this for Ye. Again, as I mentioned, he's been on the cold hand for the most part in these 2 games. And it's only here in the second half that he's started to get his groove back. And that is so important right now for Bleed, because again, they put him on the duelist knowing what he could do. And if he's able to do it, well, you're seeing Bleed reap the benefits of that.
Yeah, starting to feel it a little bit more. But again, 8-8. And now the timeout being called by Global Esports. Coach Spin, I wonder what he's had to say. The defenses on this site, or in this map at the very least, is starting to feel a little bit more static, a little bit more difficult. Especially when you have so many elevated positions, right? You got Pipes, you got 410, and Ye definitely knows how to make use of some of these spots. The rest of Bleed Esports following in on it. So Global Esports, so far we've seen, some interesting ideas, especially on the pistol. Maybe they'll start to explore other parts of the map. Maybe set up some flanks around mid and whatnot.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Pulvy hasn't been in that initial contact against Bleed in the second half for the most part, right? The time that he bought that operator, he was on B. There was a point where he was on A, but that was just a hard save for Global, so I think that doesn't count. But anything else, when they had rifles, it's always just been Global Esports without Pulvy up against Bleed in that first contact. And that might actually be a big factor as to how the firepower for Global has maybe significantly gone down. Because again, he's not on the site with them.
Just gotta really take things slow at least. Again, not wanting to make any mistakes so far. The lead is something that they want to keep for the side of Global Esports.
Placing swamp grenade.
Is that going to do enough damage to stop him from planting?
Spike planted.
It does not. Crazy Guy successful with it. This is gonna be a full-blown retake. Lightning fast. Ooh, he's already committed the wall, and Durion's always have his reckoning up and running already here, and that's always to the benefit right now for Bleed. Shut that on to Ye. Gonna make it a little bit better for the onslaught of global esports, but here comes Lightning fast, and Crazy Guy made the mistake of the jump spot. That's gonna be something bad for him. It's already halved, so unless Scary can really do something other than just these post-plant throws, I don't think it's going to be enough. Maybe Egoist can get him. Yes. Oh my god, that's actually absolutely phenomenal. Time is enough for Scary to clutch it.
Unbelievable.
Him and the efforts of Egoist, man.
How does he have so many lineups? It's awesome in the sense that like it wins Bleed the round, but it's always like a little bit annoying to watch because it's just a snake fight that wins in the round. I mean, sound plan, sound strats from Bleed Esports. First of all, like you mentioned, Asarai, that reckoning, always up and at the ready, it just buys a bit more time away from Bleed. I mean, from Global Esports. So both teams are kind of doing the same thing back to each other. We saw that Nanostorm plus Russ's Fragment from before. Now it's going to be Scary's Snake Fight. As we move on into the next, it's going to be Ye. It's trying to open things up. Dashes in. Doesn't see anything. And just instantly going for yet another plant.
Kind of the spike just a little bit off center there, so the pop shots from Blaziken can't really get through it, through that high tide. Big flank coming in from Polvi here. No utilities activated just yet. Here comes the flank. There's the use on the Hunter's Fury from the other side to break down that Killjoy ultimate. Once this wall drops down, all hell will break loose. And who will come out on top? It's actually going to be Global with the defuse through all of the confusion from the rest of the players, sacrificing their lives for the greater cause. And that's going to be Global evening things out their first round here in the second half.
War is chaotic, man. I didn't even notice that happened, but somehow one of these global esports players just managed to sneak in along with the lockdown. Polvi trying to buy as much time and attention away from the spike as possible too, coming off the flank. It just was enough for global esports to sneak around back.
Replay, so we can see who actually just defused it. Because I was also just looking at the fight first in front of us. It got a whole lot chaotic, man. Anyways,
Poison's off.
Not sure if we've mentioned this, but coming into this round, Global Esports, they almost got the whole enchilada. And by that, I mean 4 ultimates in their pockets. Very strong to think about it, because if Egoist uses his lockdown, Hunter's Fury from Blaze King is there to respond, just to break it down. It's always going to be a good thing, because you don't want any extra space-giving abilities to be used by Bleed.
At the very least, I mean, back thinking about it, compositionally speaking, I want to see Darren doing more. Lockdown, Hunter's Fury, just as you said.
But at what cost, man? Look at the kills that they've gotten already. Sure, they can try to break this lockdown, but Bleed, they've got the other direction. Hello, B-side we go.
Trying to use that lockdown to distract them and bait the rotations over, the Hunter's Fury as well. And as the Sova stays stuck in that animation, the rest of Bleed, this tiny little squad approaches B.
Polvi's coming in. He's using that Sova drone as a drone to give him a little bit of that inside yellow, but it does absolutely nothing. He wanted that firepower alongside with Blaze King if it could have been done. It's not, so Bleed get another round here. This is the Bleed that we were looking for, man. Quick, concise, very sure of the plays that they do. 10-9. They break through onto those double digits.
So that means the game is not yet over. Some of these ultimates were spent thanks to Egoist's one lockdown.
What a game this has been.
Quack. So, I mean, back into it. It's just going to be Bleed continuing forth, playing around the map. They've got some of these hits on towards the A side, and if they do get the spike down, there are those post-plant lineups. Same thing can be said for B site. So Global Esports, we had the one timeout from Coach Spin before. Now, what are you thinking about next? Like, how do you...
Revealing area.
put a thorn in the sides of Bleed.
Very close start for A main, just making sure that they can spot out Pipe here, get that control. How far will Pulvy actually push on B long with this operator? He does have Benkai right beside him. The risk here is exorbitant. They're doubled up, aren't they? Yikes! Benkai hasn't been spotted yet, so he can maybe wrap around. But no, the turret can actually spot him if he comes around the corner here. If he pushes the same angle that Pulvy did, there's still 2 players of Bleed coming in, and I don't even know how Bleed just second guesses someone's going to push them up, and they get that trade for free. There's more trades happening here on A main, and Ye's just like, thank you very much. Give me those 2 kills. Leaving Benkai and Blaze King by themselves for the moment.
Because both teams are, you know, it's kind of like the wave and the moon really pushing and pulling with gravity. Blaze King trying to play off with some of these timings on the peaks, but it's not quite going to be enough. Always trying to get a good read for some of these rotations, but without, you know, really confirming the information. As soon as they peek out, it's always, you know, thinking like, all right, we saw a little bit of presence towards B garage. Maybe I can push out onto pipes. If I do, Ye is there. And it just goes back and forth.
They got money. They're chasing Benkai down. They don't want this operator getting value. They spot the alarm bot being brought down. Now, they work their magic. One in the front, one in the back. That's going to take away the operator's hands from Benkai and ultimately away from Pulvy. This has truly been turned on its head, Quack. Global Esports had such a dominant second half, or first half, excuse me. And then we get something like this.
Yeah, starting to put Bleed back up on top.
Enemy remain.
1 round away from match, or at least map point.
We push always. I knew it. I fucking knew it.
See? That's some of these things, you know?
That's the calls, man. The IGL figuring things out.
I talked about the rotations. They just sit still, and then just kind of sometimes it happens. Earlier on, it was Bleed with some of these executes towards sites, and then they managed to break apart Global. Afterwards, you know, it's just kind of take things a little bit slow, and then Global starts to think, I need to push. If they do, they get punished for it, and now, you know, just only the timeout could potentially save them from something. Because if you are to push, you're gonna need a lot more team effort. You're gonna need some of that execution, and perhaps Coach Spin might have spotted something out.
Well, he needs to spot something out. I mean, you know, win or lose, they still will get that map 3. But, I mean, this has been a grueling grind for both teams. The timeout called into just the upgraded pistols for Global as well. Wolvie does have those blades.
This is going to be an odd round to say the least.
Fair enough.
Take flight.
Relegated to Bleed, they will pick up that map point. Although it is not too many rounds that Global needs to push this into an overtime.
But I mean, this is like a second awakening for excuse me, for Bleed as well, right? So yeah, how do they deal with the Bleed that possibly could go into map point? Big flash in the back of the site. Ye just backs away. Quick little flash. Crazy guy chasing the kill here on Snowman. And Pulvy somehow manages to pick up a couple of kills. If he can reset the blades, that's going to be huge. Spike has been denied the plant. Drops right down into the site, doubles up with his teammates. They're a little bit too much constricted here, but Pulvy finds it once again. The Finnish superstar brings it all the way back. Never mind. Yay with the turnaround, 183K. And we go to map point.
I gotta see it from Ye's POV. Was it a spray transfer? Was it taps? Whatever it was, he got all those 3 kills. And while Global Esports with their setup, with Pulvy's knives almost turning things around for Global Esports, Ye shuts all of it down and lined up for him.
Look at that smile. El Diablo. Imported. Man. Showing us why the import is here, why Bleed have committed to this tier 1 superstar from NA. Pulvy's now back on the operator. Once this wall drops down, there's a chance for contact. A couple of players of Bleed already right in front for the picking. Fortunately, he whiffs that first shot. He's going to go for a second chance. You've heard Crazy Guy a while ago. He's like, they keep peeking, they keep pushing. Yes! Because of that dart as well, Polvi might be forced to back away now.
Yeah, nothing doing for the time being. It got Bleed a little bit of presence made, a little bit of space, and off of that, positioning. Now the Reckoning able to push off any global esports players who might be on site. High Tide blocks up a lot as well, but
Ouch.
Blaze King, good spray this time.
Spike planted.
I mean, his opponent just popped a couple of shots through the smoke. Blaze King, a master tracer. Bringing up back the pain to the source of, to the point of origin. It's a huge fragment though. Here comes Russ activating the null command already. He's gonna have to get a couple of impact kills here or else it's just gonna be all for naught. Ego is gonna be doing his darndest again. He did it a while ago with Scary, but not gonna happen this time. And Global Esports holding on to the knife's edge, living to fight for another day. And like you mentioned, man, they are close to pushing this into overtime, and they still have that one map advantage.
Yeah, just rushing in to get that spike defused. Very interesting. And, I mean, the null command was expended for that retake as well. So you gotta think, although it is a few more rounds left, and the Reckoning was used, you've got Yang past the Blade Storm available. You've got a couple more bits of utility on the side of Bleed Esports. Global Esports has to, walk around a tight rope right now. Egoist with that lockdown. Okay, there it is, picked up.
Ye's alone on A main.
Yeah, just to hold the position if anyone pushes over. Egoist wants to go up front close enough around pipes to set that lockdown in. And then we'll have the A site. Then it's going to be a retake / numbers game. Unless Lightning Fast or Rust can really fend them off.
They're making a lot of noise.
Okay, there's 0 point.
Lockdown's been activated already. They're still holding the angle here on Maze. That lockdown does clear up most of the site itself, and I think Bleak was able to spot that nobody tucked themselves into the corner of the back, but they haven't really pushed up to the site itself. Are they going to do it now or go in the opposite direction? Seems like it's going to be a commitment. This is very hairy here for Bleed. Global Esports, they've tucked themselves into corners. Scary's gotten the first pick, but Polvy's right here holding on. Cannot for Blaze King. And it has gone topsy-turvy on either side. Lightning Fast. Anchoring, hoping, praying that he can maybe get something before, or rather as he waits for Benkai to come in for the play, and Benkai comes up huge. 1 versus 1. It's him and Scary. 20 seconds. Scary's going to have to pick up the spike, but look at this. Benkai's down to 10. Scary, all he needs is one bullet, a hair, a whiff, and that might be it. No damn way he misses this, and Scary gets it. Benkai had the opportunity, but it is denied, and Bleed push us into map number 3.
Then we will be truly in for a bit of a surprise. I mean, both teams kind of leaving this next map open. It's going to be split. Bleed showed us a little bit of it against T1, but at the very least, still up against Global Esports. What a performance. Both sides being able to make it this close. Towards the end, though, the adjustments came back up.
Passing it on to our panel to discuss this monstrous game number 2.
Going into a map 3, ladies and gentlemen. Bleed strike back, and now it is a 1-1 in the series. We were actually ready to just, write Bleed off already, but it looks like they may not come back, and El Diablo finally waking up here.
Yeah, waking up a bit. It was still dire straits here.
He hasn't quite gotten out of bed yet, but he has
He's
woken
awake.
up.
He's awake.
The alarm has rung. He hit snooze a couple times.
Yes, he did.
But now he's committed to waking up. It's just a matter of when he gets out of the bed. I go through this every single morning, so I understand. But, yes, we finally started seeing Ye really having some solid impact. He comes back onto the jet, but for the longest time there, that first half especially, it was not looking good.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it, because even through the first half, I mean, the way they were playing, not just the scoreline, it wasn't 8-4, but just the way they were getting defeated, allowing GE to just creep up and then get ready for the execute for free, because that's exactly what GE wants. Bleed's just hoping that they're going to hold angles and they're going to get the picks. Funnily enough, when they're on the attack, it works in reverse, right? It's icebox. At some point, you have to push out to make sure you secure a part of the area. GE starts creeping up, Bleed gets a pick, and then they're able to kind of push the attack just a bit further.
I mean, you look at the post-plan statistics here for the side of Bleed. those two that are missing are two crucial ones that they cannot have, they can't afford to have that happen again. Global just going in, causing chaos and pandemonium in the streets of Icebox and just stealing away the diffuses. So they need to make sure that they're listening in closely, making sure they can hear when that spike tap does come in and prevent those little ninja diffuses from happening.
And I think moments like that, that's really a testament to, the brains behind Global Esports, right? All of these little calls that they're making in between all of this chaos to either ninja diffuse the spike or to just push through or everything. It really just boils down to all of these brains that are happening there. But on the side of Bleed Esports, I kind of feel like, yes, they did win this map, but there was still a little bit of, it's a little bit disjointed for me.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't convincing, right? Let's just put it that way. It wasn't convincing. They had to kind of crawl out of it and claw their way to a victory. Now, the question is of course, is that enough to keep their spirits up? Because, when we saw it in the replays, Crazy Guy trying to keep the spirits up, trying to keep the energy going, even if it's some funny things happening. Like Ye died to the spike, Crazy Guy's like, let's laugh it off, let's move on. We won the round, that's what's important. You saw the vibe. So I think that's the important takeaway here. The way they played this Icebox, there's a lot of work still to be done. But okay, they're waking up in terms of their mechanics, their duels, their fights. Ye seems to have found that confidence a bit more towards the end of the map. Now, can they carry that into the third map?
But again, what is he going to be playing on that third map? It is split, and we've seen, across all of the all-season tournaments and everything, a lot of different iterations as far as what you can run on that map. Does this end up going with do they end up going with something like Darian on the Raze and then Ye just sticking to that Jet, run the double duelist comp going into this one? Does he bring out the Chamber? Or is there going to be something different? We'll have to see what they have cooked up for this one. But I do want to give a quick shout out to Russ because this was an immense improvement in his performance.
Yeah, very good shooting as well, but really crafty plays. I mean, we saw that fragment lined up to bounce twice to take out that lockdown towards the end as well, but also just good calls, right? He's kind of making sure that he can set up his teammates, especially Povey, to go in first. As soon as Povey gets contact, Russ is there to trade, and usually he's trading for 2 or 3 people in a couple of these rounds. So that's great to see fragging IGL kind of taking the reins here for Global Esports.
I like that you brought that up, the setup that they have for Povey, right? Because on the other side, and yes, I know that Bleed did win this map, but I didn't see that much setup for Ye. Usually he was just off on himself, but you wouldn't see that much support, I guess, from the other 4 on their side.
Yeah, a lot of the times he is kind of off on his own, and we were seeing him getting punished more often than not. The time where Ye really actually started coming alive was when they were providing that covering fire for him on the attack. We saw him dashing in, getting up on top of box within that A site, and as soon as he gets pushed on the flank, he's got covering fire there to bail him out. And that's really good to see that they have that, just make sure that they're watching the crossfires, they can keep him in that, and then from there he was able to go ahead and pick up a 3K.
Yeah, and Ego is someone we haven't really talked about much on the desk throughout all of the games that they've played. Some crucial and impactful multi-kills for himself as well, including Darion. While his numbers weren't that high, he had 1 or 2 very important rounds that helped flip things in the second half. So once again, I think this was more a story of the individuals of Bleed waking up to the potential and experience that we're used to. Now can they put it together for the third map?
I also feel like there are several missed opportunities on the side of Bleed to really just break out of how they were playing at Ascension, right?
Yes.
To really just stop going into that rhythm and take it to the next step, because that's what they're here for. That's why they're here in Pacific, to be able to take that next step. Unfortunately, we're not seeing it yet. Yes, we are seeing a little bit of improvement, but we need that next level.
And you see this a lot with teams that are kind of used to being the top dog in their own area, and then they face off against tougher competition. Whether it's part of the regional VCTs and then going to the Masters and Champions, whether it's coming up from Challengers, you see them being used to, well, we can always play off contact because we'll win. But once you start losing those duels, it gets a little iffy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, we've seen teams have that happen all the time. Thinking about DRX.
Yeah, and, I was thinking the same thing.
But the gears are churning right now for both of these squads because we're seeing improvements compared to their previous matches, and that's great, and that's kind of culminating into this series. Yes, there are plenty of mistakes that are still occurring within the lobby. There are plenty of sloppy plays, some whippy aims, some slow reactions, but they're battling it out. This is such an important matchup for these guys, so you have to imagine the nerves are going to be through the roof right now.
Definitely, and as you mentioned, Will, it's nice that Crazy Guy is still trying to keep up the mood, especially since we know that it can be such a downer, especially when it's such a high pressure matchup. It is the first elimination of the year, and now as we head into map number 3, it is do or die for Bleed and for Global. And for Global, it is a very important matchup for them as well. This is basically a validation for this roster that they are building right here.
Yeah, I mean, again, it all comes down to this third map, and of course, we'll be going into that shortly, but it's going to be a big question for both Global Esports. Can they bounce back after a map loss? And then for Bleed, I mean, can they continue the momentum?
Yeah, I mean, historically, Global had some very strong performances on Split last year, but they had Bunyet, they had Bazzi.
Yeah, Texture.
They had a lot of different people actually on that one, so I'm not sure how they're going to look. But obviously, Split is a mainstay map. This has been in the game for the longest time. You cannot play Valorant at a competitive level without having a strong understanding of how to pilot this one. So this might end up being the most even out of all the maps that we see tonight.
That's right. But going into Global Esports style right now, you see a lot of interesting compositions, interesting ideas here. I think can be optimistic going into Split. Perhaps it's the kind of map that you can't really just go in without a set play, without set plans over here.
Sure.
But on the side of Bleed Esports, I feel like they probably can be easily read, especially since, again, you have Blaze King with a lot of experience against the players on their side here, and it doesn't seem like Bleed are really picking up the pace. I'm not sure if they'll be able to pick it up right on map number 3 here.
Yeah, I mean, going into this one, I forget which side they're actually starting on. I don't know.
I'll have to, we'll have to look back on that.
We'll see it here in a moment, but depending on what side they're starting on, especially, like, they will need to have that hot start, kind of like we were saying for Global at the beginning of this day, just, come out swinging. So, especially if they're going to be kicking things off on that attacking side, you need to be able to rack up as many rounds as you possibly can.
Yeah, and my big question also is, in terms of the compositions for Bleed, I mean, Crazy Guy, what role does he pick up as well, right? So there's a lot of questions to be had in terms of this map.
Yeah, going back into the previous map, though, we do know that it was a bit of a 50-50, and the comeback that we saw from Bleed was also a testament to who exactly is that playmaker for dire times, right? Who exactly pushes that momentum or pushes that motivation to be able to go over and push Bleed to where they need to be.
And for the longest time, it was Egoist. He was the one that was very much, trying to keep them in these rounds for the longest time before we kind of had Ye and everybody else starting to really wake up alongside him. It was a really strong performance on the KJ. But conversely, for the side of Global, Polvi at the beginning, when he had that Outlaw in his hands especially, he was finding an immense amount of value for the team.
Yeah, I think that, also here on for Bleed, again, you have those playmakers that, for each round, you manage to have like Darion picking up a triple, or you manage to have Egoist suddenly, being successful on a major flank here, that actually managed to, really get that morale up for Bleed that was able to push them forward. And I think that, for the side of Global Esports, we can tell that morale is high, definitely. But again, it's still it feels like for Global Esports, it's not enough. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think they're at a point where they're not going to be happy unless they walk away with this win. And I mean, I think that's realistic for both of these teams. But now we can go ahead and take a look and see. And what we got, it's going to be a second crack at the Viper here for Ye.
Yeah, and then
very interesting.
Blaze King bringing out the Gecko here as well. I mean, it is alongside the Breach, so really looking to just set up and push through once they're on the attacking side, which will be the first half for Global Esports. But Bleed, I mean, Ye back on the Viper. He's got to redeem himself after that first map.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like, again, that he was comfortable on that role, right? We're going to see, again, as you mentioned, Bill, a second chance for Ye here, especially now that he's woken up and hit that snooze button, or hit that stop button on his alarm. So we'll pass it on over to your casters, Azurai and Quack.
Do or die. There is no other way. This is it, Quack. We are here for map number 3. Bleed and Global have grinded their way up to the very, very last map in this elimination game here in Kickoff. So we'll get started in just a bit.
I mean, the desk was talking about Ye having woken up. Has he truly woken up and hit that snooze button? Or, what's going to happen next? There are players trying to keep the spirits up, but at the same time, there is silence in the stadium right now as they feel the tension of the elimination match coming through. Polvi, Global Esports, they want to break open the site.
He breaks open with this fight against Durian that completely misses him. Both the contact on Polvi as well as that boombot, interestingly enough. Rest of Global now pushing up into ropes. Oh my god, where did that come from Russ? He just Goomba stomped the head of Durian there. Global Esports opening Pandora's box, but Egoist has been such a crucial factor right now. The trades and Blaze King using the wingman to plant all the way from heaven. Total baller. And even if he lost that fight, if the Wingman could have planted it, Lightning Fast was still coming in from mid, so there was layers upon layers that Scary had to try to deal.
Yeah, switching up in terms of the pace, right? Global Esports just go right in, and starting things off with Polvi, Benkai, with a little bit of support. I mean, it really is the same thing of playing in terms of rhythm. Bleed, oftentimes just trying to take things slow, trying to be methodical about it, but then not quite expecting such movements from Russ, for example.
Global Esports is that team that I feel like embodies ripping off the Band-Aid, right? Like, oh, you want us to take this nice and slow? No! Go in! Just hammer it down onto the side, which they will definitely do. And Benkai and Russ commands authority here on that A site, leaving the rest of Bleed to just scratch their heads, deal with this post plant with just the pistols. If they can maybe get themselves a condensed angle here, that could be something, but Global Esports, they got themselves a pretty sick amount of crossfires too, but not even that could really, stop Blaze King. And he's just going to pick himself up a 3K, one away from the Thrash.
Dude, Blaze today, this guy has been a bit of a sleeper. I mean, sleeper agent to speak. In the first game, playing on that fade, we didn't really talk about him too much because those were just a lot of kills where he cleaned up a lot. Maybe a bit of utility coming through. But then now, today, just back onto the third map, he shows up again. I thought that maybe he would have at least dropped like a right click or two, but the movement somehow just favors him instead, and he gets the sprays.
We're looking to prioritize the contact once again. Very aggressive use on the fault line too. Already going to push through this. There's the contact, and Durian, ooh boy, shooting gallery at its finest. Lightning Fast alone. Spike dropped at A main, so two avenues, A main or ramps. Choose your poison.
Either way,
choose your ladder. Yeah.
Either way, it's not something that's going to be easy to stomach. And I guess it really just comes down to the timing of it. Trying to break through that choke point. And that's the nature of Split, right? You've got B Garage, you've got A main, and anyone who tries to push through. If Darian kind of does the same thing, and getting those sprays out, the toxic screen up from Yay, excuse me, it really just crumbles the entire push.
Wow, good call.
I mean, at least right now, right? They were just trying to do a speed run of that bonus round of theirs because they got something in store for us coming here. As I mentioned, Blaze King does have his Thrash available, exactly that. So he's just using the Wingman first, soften things up, get a bit of that contact on Mail, and now start doing things. Yay, he is so close from this contact. He realizes this, but that fault line is perfectly placed to catch him off. Thankfully enough, teammate Egoist does him a solid, I got you, Yay. You're perfectly fine with me.
Pings out the Thrasher orb as well. And the rest of the squad is fully aware of what might happen next, but unfortunately the response not quite as good. Bleed, Egoist only able to pick up one.
Where did that TP come from? Or where did that TP go? Lightning Fast on top of the box, gets the trade, 2 versus 3. Russ gonna be planting down the spike. Benkai holding hell here for the moment as Crazy Guy creeps in ever so slowly. Did he see Benkai actually go around the corner? That's going to be a big one too if you think about it. As Durian not really given any form of contact here for now. There it is. 1 to 2. Dashing right in, but Durian is quick. Not quick enough to deal with the 2 players still available here from Global that shuts him down.
It just comes down to those protocols. I mean, we saw what happened towards mid. You called it exactly, Asarai. You have the Wingman just to soften things up, get a confirmation, then Thrasher. Everyone else slowly starts to follow through. You had the Dizzy to start things off. And then as they start to swing out, Polvy's there to assist. Yay, unfortunately, just couldn't quite hold it back. And they managed to get the side off of it. Egoist fell as well.
And here's the problem too, right? The only defense that they had on B Heaven was pure contact. All of the traps from Egoist here was set for any kind of B main contact, but it all got bypassed because of the shot at step from Lightning Fast. So every kind of trap that they placed was very well ignored, thank you, by Global Esports.
Straight up. Now, same thing. We get mid control, we get some more options. CA trying to deny it with a Recon Phantom, trying to spray through, but nothing doing. Crazy Guy, though. Did he hear?
He probably did. But like, who gets who first? That's the question on that rope contact, if ever there was any rope contact. Polvi straight up marching his way here on B Heaven. He's got a chance to peek this, but he's not going to do that just yet. He just charges through the smoke, and Polvi's, thank you very much. That,
I know exactly.
yeah, okay. Neural Theft to combat that. 1-for-1 trade though. Crazy Guy does find another. But with all of these Neural Theft activations, it could actually be turned ups in their heads, and Russ just backs away as they realize where they are. That's Global Esports running it all the way through the A site, but the counter Neural Theft does give
30
all the
seconds
information
left.
that Bleed needs to know.
Rotation's over. Darian with the rocket.
Hey,
Ooh,
Polvi! That's why he got picked up, man. He gets those moments, and when you thought the big connection of ability is there to shut you down, he just raw talent, raw firepower. You know, he's the one with the showstopper. That's going to deny some pushes for a good chunk of seconds, which allows the rest of Global Esports to go the other way. They're going to try to clear Heaven. If they're not on Heaven, they're just going to drop down, help out Polvi here.
So there's always that extra assistance. All Polvi's got to do is to get that information for the
One
team.
enemy remaining. Last player
Flex them out
standing.
too. And all Russ has to do is hold, wait, and play. Spots out Scary, who was going to go for the full defuse. Global Esports have total control of their attacking side.
It's always such a goddamn good feeling, man. Like Polvi, like if you have that
Yeah.
aim, your hand, your arm becomes your mouse becomes an extension of your arm. That's what I want to say.
Observer, we request the best of the POV replays.
There it is.
There it is.
Just fully anticipating it, and then although Darren was trying to get the momentum off of the blast packs, Polvi's still getting the shot early on, and then everyone else knowing exactly how to play off the spike plant now. Definitely needing to stem the bleeding. It's going to be Lagia with a timeout now. This is way too early on to be losing such a momentous lead in the half. 4-1.
I mean, with those highlight plays from Polvi, that's going to rattle a couple of players here on Bleed, especially Durian, right? That's matching up Polvi against Polvi here. Man is on a mission. Absolutely right. That 1-4 is a definite concern right now for Bleed because there's no more cushion here, Quack. We're here on map number 3, and Global's already running away with the lead, and you never want that to happen. Sure, I mean, you could look at Icebox and see that they can slowly grind up their way to something, but Bleed doesn't want to be in that position once again. They want to have that solid advantage.
Always says so much. I mean, we've seen Bleed for the past 2 maps now start things off without a strong lead. They're always slow to catch up. Might even be able to say the same for their match against T1. It just doesn't look too great. You know, always talking about this team. You got Ye picked up. You got strong players. You got Darian. They ascended from Ascension. And Crazy Guy says in the interview, like, we belong in Pacific. We want to prove that. Now in the elimination match, Global Esports says different.
Of course, there still is opportunity and chances. It's not like we're already at like 12-10 or something, but it is somewhat concerning again as how much Global has really garnered in these rounds.
Yeah, just talking about the lead, but Polvi has been impressive. Now back into it again, looking for an execute onto the site, but look at how Bleed has to set up. Yes, it's that eco, so I don't know how much it can really do. But playing around the toxic screens, they got some of these stingers and frenzies.
It's a 5-stack on A, dude.
Yeah. But then also, like, look at Global. They're just ignoring it. Not going to push past main. Maybe up ramps. I don't know if they'll go through screens.
Oh, I think they realize it too. I mean,
Yeah.
even if they don't realize it, they have options to go elsewhere. And since they did leave Blazekick here on mid, they can always have an opportunity to pinch coming into that mid side. And now they're like, something's up.
Precisely. Nothing seen so far. Paranoid just for extra security. Now the site is completely clear.
What a read.
Stick the plant. Why not? How can Bleed do damage
10
on the
seconds
retake?
left. Spike planted.
I mean, there's still 5 people, so
Look
if they catch someone holding an off-angle position here, can take
There.
away a weapon, or you know, Bleed can just wait until the very last second, try to get some exit frags, and die to the spike. So I'm assuming they're going to go for the latter.
Oh man, then it's like both sides saving fully because Global Esports can run out mid, they can run out garage. Bleed just dies to the spike.
Probably that, right?
What an eventful round.
I mean, fair. You don't want to give any extra kills to
Yeah.
global players that have been heating up, especially
All
Blaze
points,
King, right?
You don't want to give him another
Yeah.
Thresher.
Exactly.
Russ sitting on the Rolling Thunder too. What's your dying sound? Voice
okay.
actor Aster Echo.
I don't want to do that.
Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, the Wilhelm scream. Actually. Yes. If you know, you know. Any BL players out there? 1, 2, or 3? Love you guys. Anyways, back into the thick of things. Durian, he's got himself the operator. It's been pretty solid in that Sunset map, but is it going to solid enough here on Split where he doesn't really have that much line of sight? Polvi, the double satchel catches Crazy Guy. This makes it significantly harder for Durian to really get that contact, but it doesn't matter. He still shuts down Polvi.
Good
Thank you
shot
very
with
much.
the op. Can't really cross back now, and the intentions were kind of sussed out as well. Why else would Polvi be trying to run back down ramp? So that's why the rotations are coming over from Bleed. They're getting a good read on things. And as long as Scary gets the right amount of contact, as long as Benkai doesn't find too much on the A site, Bleed should be able to pick up this round. Of course, it's still really early on, though. Scary backs off, Darren back in his place. Global Esports might be able to, you know, go out along with a Dizzy push.
And they do have the Rolling Thunder, right? So,
I don't know. Like, it makes sense, but
yeah, you don't want to use it willy-nilly, right? So you're
Yeah.
going to look for contact elsewhere. Benkai has always been that person that likes to do this, but timing is good, actually.
Whoa.
Is that
30 seconds
question
left.
is that going to gravitate the rotation from Bleed and allow Global to actually start pushing into the ace to the B site?
oh, it does. And the Rolling Thunder. You're right, Asterai. Even though it's not maximum effect, it does do enough to push Darion away. But Scary from the top of heaven comes back in.
That nade is very far off from
Spike
Russ.
planted.
Durian might not even know that Lightning Fast is around the corner. Okay, as the dust settles, it's 3 versus 2. Durian is only aware of the positioning of Russ here, not Lightning Fast, who is inside this smoke. It's going to be the double contact. There it is.
Player standing.
It's all going to be up and down to how quickly he can actually get that transfer, which is not really too
One
hot.
enemy
That
remaining.
paranoia does nothing against Russ. It's a 1 versus 1. Scary's been a clutch master, but Russ can do something extraordinary, and that is to be the IGL and savior of Global in this round.
Is it time to start singing different songs now? Global Esports, Russ, a fragging IGL. Scary, you would have thought that he's the guy to clutch things out, but it's such a one-on-one, a little bit off-put, a little bit off-timed, feels uncomfortable. Despite being blinded, Russ still lands the shot. And it's just such a good call to make that rotation through. Benkai even actually getting a frag onto Ye. What is happening?
It's the calls, man. It's the smart use of utility too, because there would be a world where he didn't get the A push and they could still do that B play straight up. But yeah, the woe was very much granted as Russ is down. The hero of that last round down to 15 here.
Always playing around the rhythm and timing of things, right? In previous rounds, we had Polvi just diving right straight on A ramps. This time around, they're going along with a team, and Bleed kind of playing along with that, trying to get a feel for this dance, and this time getting a better grasp of it. Benkai still, though, however, lurking all around. The rest of that global squad
Tripwire destroyed.
looking to make something happen towards B. They got the utility for it. As long as they can block off Heaven.
Quick little TPs there from... Oh, that's a big flash. Egoist. Does he go against it? The push out. And it's just too clean for Global. No sweat in that one. I like how, again, Lightning Fast is using himself as a human recon dart where he just keeps TPing in positions for his teammates to feed off of. But Benkai also solid on these lurks. And Bleed left to really just scratch their heads. Ouch. Yay, down to 1.
No.
El Diablo is down to El Uno.
No way you like clutch this at 1 HP.
No, of course not. I mean, that's crazy, guy.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
But absolutely right. I mean,
Stab, 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 stab. Ah. Ye was looking.
secure the round win. Why not?
Yeah.
But, you know, you got to definitely think about it. This is happening so often. Good calls from Russ. You talk about the execution with lightning fast being used as a bit of a human recon. I mean, it's just such a smart way to use that shrouded step, but at the same time, the support that comes in along with it. Russ can frag, Benkai. I mean, this is classic split plays. You got that lurk, you cut people off in the rotations, you control the whole map. Global Esports are having a great time.
And I don't know what the retaliation would be for Bleed here. They're creating plays, sure enough, but Global's just, yeah, we'll just play our own game, keep pushing forward. We still have Polvi, who's been so good at these contact plays, and there it is once again. Durian, okay, there we go. He's got the impact play. Neural Theft slows it down a little bit further. Blaze King now calling the rotation. Hold on, lightning fast. He's got himself that from the shadow, so he can pick it up, the spike. But there is a world where they might break him and not. No, he picks it up. It's pretty easy for him. Anyways, hold heaven. They must. Planet for heaven, planet for open. And it's a 3 versus 3 on this retake.
Still do have Egoist up around screens, though. Trying to make their way through. But what it comes down to is how well they can really break apart this heaven hold. Darian out through. Ooh, punches him.
Yeah, Egos was waiting for a better angle there if he can. Benkai through the smoke as well. Lightning Fast coming here too. Paranoia coming out, but does not dissuade Scary, and Egoist is not in a good spot, but he doesn't need to be. Excuse me. Egoist with the ego peaks, the ego kills. And he saves it once again for Bleed.
He kind of made use of the pressure from the spiked half to bait them out into peeking, and he just has that aim just enough to really fend them off. I mean, what a round. Both sides just trying to play around things. Darian and Scary doing a bit of work, but at the same time, Global having the sense of trying to rotate over with lightning fast. But then when it comes down to it, the heroics of Egoist. 2-7 lead. I mean, again, you know, they start things out slow, but they never quite back down that easy.
Bro painted a picture on that A window, man. And it was a great picture. It was a picture of them winning that round.
Picture of two bodies on the ground.
Oh, yeah. Durian so close to... Oh! He's hiding in the corner. He's been spotted, and that's going to be him down and dusted. Yay, holding the angle here. Pushes out with the snake bite, but gets caught in the collateral of things, even hiding inside the smoke. Seeker's been activated here by the defenders, but it's so early that the Seekers won't really threaten the control and rotation capabilities of Global Esports. Egoist now coming in through B Heaven. He's been such a stalwart of Vanguard. Oh. But these tags, man, he's been put in a position where he has to do so much, and he might not be able to do anything at all.
Yeah, great ways to check, too, from the likes of Russ.
Only good for one, though.
Still good reactions nonetheless, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Global Esports having the numbers now. They get to push in. They got the site. It's just a near impossible retake. The rest of the Bleed members aren't even really moving. So, seems like it's going to be a save.
Yeah.
And it just came down to a bit of guesswork. Unfortunately for Bleed, doesn't quite work out. Global Esports, on the other hand, again, you think about how they take down this mid. It's worked out so great.
And I think you gotta put into perspective, I think, how slow Ye has been to assist his teammates, right? Because whenever he's on a non-duelist, it just feels like he's just a step behind. Like, I was wondering why Durian was holding for such a long time onto Mail, and then you see a few seconds later that Ye's there. So it's at some point you're thinking, Was Durian supposed to get any form of support utility or support spray down from Ye as to why he held male for such a long time? Even through the triple push of global? And you start to wonder.
Definitely wondering. I honestly am not too sure. I can't say for certain, but whatever it is, it's just not working out for Bleed. That much we know. So, timeout again. And you're just left wondering, like, how can Bleed really catch up with this? The entire desk, a lot of people all thought that Bleed would definitely have this one in the bag. Given their performance against T1, for example. I mean, it was such a long day, but they were still able to put up some great numbers. They were still able to push T1 in overtime. But here, up against Global Esports, you know, roster that everyone was kind of questioning. We got all of these imports and players from all over the place. But Russ and the leadership, man, it just feels so different in this matchup. A welcome one for sure.
Bleed's already used all of their talking right now. Like he is just shaking his head, man. I don't know if he just called the timeout to take a breather or even have something planned for his team here. And flip side is, you know, if Bleed can survive with a few more rounds coming into the second half, miracles do happen. Switch of sites can definitely change the winds of impact here.
Yeah, for an execute heavy map like Split, you know, pass, a bit more defender sided. Now, if you know, as long as you crack the code, you got the right executes. Definitely could come up with more rounds, but definitely doesn't feel good. You know, when your coach is just not even like happy with you.
Oh yeah.
So you would want to have like more faith, more spirits up. Darren with the showstopper, definitely a possible turnaround.
Yeah, Scary's on that first contact too. So Darion wants to get up close and personal. When Scary gets that whiff of anyone trying to get this B main control, he might even use the showstopper, but it's not even needed as he gets that double spray down beautifully executed. They're going to push him up, and Pulvy just pulverizes the opposition. Scary holds on, gets the 3K, pushes back Blaze King. No more flashes for him. Does have a wingman. Can use it to push forward, but he waits patiently as Benkai comes in with the double up, and Ye's right here in the corner helping out Scary with this Judge 2 in hand. Wow. Oh, that was a risk. That was a risk! He didn't even second guess if he should break the wingman. He just tacked in everything and hoped that his Judge would be good enough in that close quarters. And this might all be just all for naught. The tag as well and Crazy Guy, he disabled for a couple of seconds, and they've allowed Global to plant the spike in a very safe manner. And we're not even the Judge just yet. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Crazy Guy's pushing up. And what just happened, Quack?
Just Global Esports feeling that confidence today. I mean, of course, Egoist with nothing but a classic. We're expecting him to clutch back up. He did it before. Knows exactly where Ben is.
Oh my god! 4 bullets! A classic to start things in a 2 versus 1. Gets the kill. Has to use the North F, sure. But Bleed somehow manages to persevere. Egoist, true to his name, has truly been the star player here, the clutch player of Bleed when they need him to do it the most.
Just the thing that amazes me the most is that he did it with the classic. Yes, Blaze King was low enough, but Blaze King somehow couldn't quite land the shots against him because didn't quite know the positioning either. So Egoist definitely showing up huge on this map, but we need one more round, if anything, just to feel a bit more comfortable. That previous one, I mean, Blaze King and the rest of them, yes, Ye had the Judge that was at wingman play, but they were just so confident how they pushed out. You can feel that confidence again.
Wow. Okay, Scary's just out of there. I do not want to deal with this. This is not up to my pay grade, at least for now. Oh my goodness. Okay, I am overreacting way too much, I know, but Pulvy is creating openings when there's so little visual stimuli for this man.
I say, like, fair enough. You know, the round just started. He just got right in, and the spike's already planted.
Scout destroyed.
Bleed have got their work cut out for them. The peek out does allow Durian to get the trade quickly against Lightning Fast, and Durian just running it down. They're hoping that they can get these contacts. Russ, if he can get a kill, maybe he can rip out an ultimate for himself. One around the corner is going to be Blaze King, but do they know, coming up from heaven is Benkai. Defuse on the spike, the crazy guy holds his teammate's hand, and Bleed somehow manages to squeeze one more round in before we end a half.
There we have it. It's 4-8 instead of a 9-3. And it comes down to, I do feel like, again, at least on this map, it's Egoist. On the previous ones, we might have had different performances from like Darien, for example, but this time, although we had such a strong and consistent lead coming out from Global Esports, Polvi just creating such crazy openings towards the end of it, Darien even trying to fly things up. It's going to be Egoist along with Crazy Guy to support each other, to come in to follow through and clean up for the team. Egoist, with his mechanical skill, kind of brings the game back just by a bit for Bleed Esports. Is it going to be enough, though, for the second half? That is the question on our minds right now.
I was about to say the polar opposite of that is these little things can actually lead up to it being enough. So completely two different sides of the coin for the same for that sentiment, right? Anyways, you're absolutely right. Egoist is such a hero at this point for Bleed. Without him, some of these rounds wouldn't even be possible. 50% of the rounds that Bleed has gotten, Egoist has clutched. What a percentage, right, that has been for Bleed. Man is doing work, and he's the only one here from Bleed, as you can see on the scoreboard.
50% sounds big, but it's like 2 out of 4.
I mean, you get what you can take. You know?
Dang, that's right.
In this situation, you have to get it.
You got a point.
Yeah.
He is the kill leader right now. But off to the next half, that's the thing. You got this Gecko pick that could help you really well in retakes. And I have a feeling that that's what Global Esports wants to do. And at the same time, bear in mind, you got Polvi, you got Russ. These guys, they got calls to push out on the defense. Bleed, they have to be ready. Look at mid.
What a stack here, as you mentioned, on mid too. Any push-outs on Rafters, Paranoia will be soon to follow, but did Durian get hit at all? Excuse me, for the loss of words. The reposition so that the Aftershock does not engulf him. Nade is available, throws it out to the corner, and that is a great separation of utility here for Bleed. You see Global trying to push through, and they get separated again because of the snake bite, again because of that paint shells, but trades come in aplenty. We've equalized the numbers. There's going to be the plant on the spike here for Bleed, but Global have heaven and screen control, but Durian is putting the effort, is putting this game into his own hands. He's already gotten 3K. If he can do more, maybe even an ace.
Oh, that cam says everything.
He has another nade.
Darius in a prime position to pick this up. Gets further info, just sees one, right? So he knows where the other is.
I mean, they're taking a very long time to get close into things. Blaze King can get the trade on Egoist, but it's only as good as that. Bleed get their first round. Man, Global was going for a hard read, dude. They were like, let's push mid. We'll see where it takes us.
Trying to early set up for the retakes. I think that's why Benkai was positioned so far back to behind screens. However, yeah, you can see in that replay, Darien was not blinded by the paranoia whatsoever. And sometimes that's just one of those things where, the air of effect of that flash just doesn't quite cover what you need it to sometimes, or the timing of it as your opponents move out. It's a little bit unfortunate.
Does get the trade on Yay. This is just a pistol here for Global too. If they push up, Russ has a stun, so maybe that's going to be something to utilize right now, which it actually is working out fairly well for Global Esports. They've got the numbers advantage already. They're already looking right behind him because they are aware that Blaze King can pick up a weapon, which he already has, and they're not even looking at this. Bleed are so lost. The Thrifty is so solid for the South Asian team, but now it's all left again in the hands of Egoist. And he doesn't even have the spike in his inventory. Womp womp.
Still, though, want to be careful about it. You got 2 classics. Can't lose any advantage that you have.
Breach.
Round's not over.
Oh my gosh, he even get the 180, but Benkai's just too quick.
Crouched at the end, too. A little bit unfortunate for Egoist. I mean, both these teams, that's one thing that we often forget is that Benkai does have experience with Bleed Esports. Having been on PaperX, having come from that MOSG scene, he knows Egoist, he knows his tendencies, he knows Darren as well.
One enemy remaining.
And Russ has some great timings with this breach
man.
too. Yeah, man. I just love the laid-back nature of the global players. Blaze King chillin', you know. Where's that nade coming from?
Very cheerful guy, but right now Nate just going in for a bit of that garage control. Picks up the orb. Pulvi denying these ultimates away from Darien. Do you want to go back around ramp to pick that one up? Probably, maybe not so much.
Yeah, you can even see there's a double stack from global here. If they actually go through A main and they just pop shots directly where the spike or the orb is, right?
Yeah.
Lord, global esports is hard reading this. Smoke placed right in front of them.
And right, good enough damage from both Blaze King from the last round that now economy is a bit of an issue for Bleed. So the executes have to be very, very careful, but at the same time, because global esports are recognizing this, they're being careful themselves. They want to secure this round.
They might just try to go straight for that B site. The wall's been dropped down already. Lightning Fast has put up his smoke 3 times on B main. And Bleeds is counting, maybe this is a blessing for them.
Right through now.
Seconds left.
Oh,
I mean, it's not a wall, dude.
great timing on the spam.
He can shoot through the smoke. He has a teammate right beside him that can help him out. And Lightning Fast, like a Viper, coiled he strikes. Egoist does get the rush down. 12 seconds. Can he plant the spike? Scary put it in such an unfavorable spot.
Oh, Russ.
Yes, just go in and plant it. And he can.
I can't believe this. Boy, were we wrong about global esports. I mean, look at this. And now, having won that round, you're not just reaching double digits, you're very likely going into 11-5. You see that call from Russ. You see the reactions from Lightning Fast. The hope from South Asia. As soon as the dark cover comes out, as soon as he sees a bit of a snake bite being tossed through, he knows, all right, I gotta spam. Even catches onto a single player, and that's enough damage.
And Bleed have already used up all of their timeouts, so there's no more breathing space.
It comes down to Crazy Guy. Can you really read your opponents well enough without your coach, and can you call the entire team to adapt well enough to this? Of course, they are attacking, so it's not the easiest feat. Darren does have a showstopper, but this round, not the one that you really want to commit unless you pick up more. Egoist. Benkai being careful.
Yeah, doesn't want to overstep his bounds as he's the only one holding that A side for him by himself for the moment. Durion is just quickly charging in, finds Benkai, uses the nade to delay things a bit further. Does he pick up the weapon? That's the question.
Yeah, I think he does.
He does. And gets
passes
out.
It on over.
And gets out without being traded too, which is perfect. Like you mentioned, passes it on over.
There.
That was a huge, huge pickup right now for Bleed. Alert coming again from none other than the man himself, Egoist. Paranoia has been thrown out. Here's the bombardment from the rest of Global. Lightning Fast gets one. Blaze King comes into the corner here. There's too much for him to handle, but he is perfectly juggling the aggression up until the point. Ye gets him. Bleed still far from a favorable position.
And a great thrifty round at the very least for Bleed to pick up. I mean, yes, Ye got the final one, but you got to remember, it starts off with Egoist just walking up ramp. This shot with the Sheriff. Russ wasn't expecting that, because who just walks up? And then, of course, Darien to commit along with that showstopper. Gives them a little bit more breathing room, a little more space, picks up the Vandal. A great way to bring Bleed back into the game. It's not over yet.
Oh, wow. There is a world where Durian can get a pick on Polvi, and that world is now. That world is here. We're living in that multiverse, ladies and gentlemen. Durian does not come into the fight here. He's lightning fast, hits into the corner, but a quick flick and a quick shot does get that 1-for-1 trade. Blaze King now just frantically shooting through B main here, as Bleed have gotten themselves that numbers advantage. They don't really need to overpush right now, Quack. They still have Egoist holding the lurk once again on A main. He can start calling in his teammates all the way around here. They're not really afraid of that mid call. Actually, no, there is a ping there. But once they start clearing it up, they should be feeling a lot more confident to start pushing it onto A, which, lo and behold, does not have any Cypher traps.
Precisely the rotations that Bleed needs gives them the A site. However, take a look at what Global Esports has in their inventory. I feel like this Thrasher that Blaze King has, along with the Wingman, not to mention the rest is full kit, might be useful for a retake. So as soon as they confirm that the site hit goes towards A, now just setting up for it, Russ needing to kind of stay alive or at least pick up a frag, but unfortunately does not go his way. A 2-on-4 now, nah.
Yeah.
I think you gotta save.
Yeah. Just looking at the creds for Global Esports, don't really have anything to buy back into that next round, so Bleed Esports live to fight for another day. And the formula from what it looks like, Quack, is two things. Egoist staying alive to threaten the lurk, and Durian just having to get good and beat out Polvi's game.
Having to get good and beat up.
It's literally just that.
True.
Polvi
He did do that in this round.
Yeah, exactly, right? Polvi's been such a thorn on Bleed's side for a very long time. There's no answer to him. So what it seems to be Bleed's answer is, Durian, go kill, and if it works, we can work off of that.
Yeah, get good. It's just funny how that is phrased, but it's absolutely true. This time catching the timing onto some of these players. And then, of course, you know, while he might have fallen to lightning fast, it's that response from the rest of the team. So quick, so good onto it. Of course, though, that said, now that Bleed are slowly starting to climb back into the game, Coach Spin pauses the game.
Calm down.
Yeah, calm down. Let's see what we can fix. But you got to keep in mind, although it is the timeout that he called, Lagia gets to talk to his team too.
That's very true. The more that you can force Global to do that, the more that Bleed can start building things up once again. And Lagia's face, completely different from that last timeout that they've got. He's listening in intently as well, nodding in agreement. I mean, obviously we can't hear what they're saying, but
less German tough love, less like disappointed father vibes.
Yeah, true. He's probably just listening to Crazy Guy and how he's formulating things, you know? That Vietnamese mind of his.
Definitely is a really incredible player. I mean, some of these rounds, he's coming up with these calls and expecting plays, finding the trades for his team. A lovely welcome addition to Pacific for sure, but then again, 3 rounds for Bleed to equalize.
Big punish play that we can see from Global here. First things first, Polvi's got his showstopper. Look at where he's positioned, all the way downtown on screens. There's a setup thrash here from Blaze King, and if Bleed overreach, Polvi is waiting for the Kumbayas, the boom boom pows. He pushes right up, but Durian gets 2.
Ooh.
There's going to be the aftershock right now from Russ. And even though this is a weaker buy for Global Esports, the trades are even, and Bleed still are very much aware of the big ultimate looming at the A site if again, Polvi's still holding in that position.
It's got to be Polvi though, right? Yeah, and then at the very least, I guess maybe Bleed just wanting to bypass all of that. Transitions over to the B site. It does give the rest of Global a little bit more time and space to pick up some of these rifles. And then we'll have a different round. Oh, this is...
Ooh, that smoke telegraphs something, though. It's a B heaven that covers a lot of things.
Oh.
I wonder what the call for Bleed is. Honestly, pushing all the way through spawn stairs wouldn't be too bad right about now, because if they can find where Benkai is hunkered at, they wouldn't have to deal with all these pesky tripwires that is set up everywhere.
Oh, Ben.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, but they probably won't. Crazy Guy's one off from his Seekers as well here. Benkai's holding on.
Stay alive. Got the showstopper in. Ooh. Got some rifles now. We can play in this round. We don't have armor, but sure enough, it's a better fight than, as to go with classics.
Look at how far everyone from Bleed is placed at. Scary's just done.
Oh, great camera from Ben
Last
Kai.
player standing.
That's hard. Polvy's by himself at this point. Plant Spike actually out in the open. This works in their favor. Now Polvy's been spotted. If you can just jiggle a little bit more for Crazy Guy to get that bit of information.
Wow.
It's
Time,
not even
though.
diffused at all, yeah. So he has to back away. Gets the quick little punish. And Bleed Esports. They used Scary as the bait man, and it works in their favor.
That would be really funny if that was like the idea. Scary's just like, yeah, I'm gonna run into Ben Kai.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of see that with how far, but somewhat tradable they were playing with each other, right? Because you saw Scary on Hell, Egoist was playing on Male, and then obviously the one just gonna be holding the spike is Crazy Guy. Yeah.
Still, yeah, a series of unfortunate events for global esports.
Here.
I mean, they've got the four ultimates still able to keep themselves in the lead. Polvy
trial.
back
Okay.
to the sudden rhythm game where we push out.
Too much rhythm. If we're looking at how he just re-peaked that. Trade for trade, though. Both of the raises down and dusted. And this gives a chance right here for Bleed to rotate and at least not be afraid anymore of, the operator that is available here for Polvy. I do hear the Thrash being used, so that's probably to get a lot more information here on A, see if Heaven's being controlled or whatever, and it is not. So Ben Kai, be ready.
Definitely here's the Trailblazer at the very least, trying to make use of his one way. He's got a second. Oh no.
He doesn't have a second chance to actually use it.
I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
But what a great spray. Like, of course the Cypher would be on the other side.
Of course. We're going again. Here we go. Second time to do another thing with the Thrash. Look at how far back Ye is
My
actually
God.
playing. He's been pushed back hard by this Thrash, though. Wingman used actually on Male, and Ye has got himself the perfect timing on this lurk. He's been spotted already, but him gravitating this attention definitely secures the round here for Bleed.
So interesting. Yay, the lurker now. And Bleed having the economy to go for this hunt.
I will become what you want me to be, or what you need me to be.
That's what a flex player does.
Yeah. Ye's like the Batman of Bleed right now. I never thanked you, and you'll never have to.
It's not the hero that
They need, or that they want, but he's the hero that Bleed deserves.
Well,
Hey man, he's doing his job.
any effort is welcome, right? And it just gives Bleed the wins that they're looking for as they slowly claw their way back up the game. I mean, we started out this half, it was 4-8 in favor of global esports. Now look at what's happened.
We've climbed all the way back. It's deja vu all over again, Quack. Ooh. What feels like the change of pace here for Bleed? I mean, again, I pointed out a while ago that they've been using Durion to catch out Polvy here. But is it Polvy just overheating? He's got the first picks every single time. Again, I'll probably just check the stats later on. But the first bloods feel very much, flowing from Polvy. So if he just holds off from re-peaking once again and not getting traded, feels like that's already a win condition done for Global.
It kind of is, but then, while we were talking about overheating. First bloods, what about first deaths? Right? I mean, definitely not to discredit Polvy for whatever reason. He's definitely doing a lot. But Bleed are also doing a great job at adapting to this. As soon as he gets the first pick, they know that there is another opportunity for them to come back in for that trade. And off of the trade, softening up the defenses on a map like Split, without the numbers, it's that much easier for Bleed to break through. So Russ now, fault line connects, but doesn't really do all too much. It's a bit of information at best.
Darion's one ult charge away from getting his ultimate. Russ, does he want to challenge this? Does he want to punish this? He will. And no picks will be garnered. Durion's just charging it in. That's going to get punished. Lightning Fast comes back into cover, and Bleed somehow should be at least bombarded and wiped out, but they're holding on. Benkai gets the 3K, though. And the man himself is creating opportunities, is creating moments for Global Esports and for himself. 9-11, and Global strike back.
Great response coming in from Global Esports. I guess that's what the timeout was for. You know, Bleed trying to adapt to the rhythm of it, trying to get a sensing for how this is played. They knew that Russ had the Rolling Thunder. Of course, it was sent out. But at the same time, I think Darian just kind of thought that like he would be able to punish Russ that quickly, that easily. Thought wrong. Lightning Fast was around the side. Benkai arriving on the scene on time too, picking up the quick double, and then Ye turns the entire round around on its head.
I just love how that's the reaction for Global here, right? One mistake, one slip up is all it takes for you to really get punished by it. Crazy Guy is nursing an operator right now on attack. Darian spots it. He gets one. That wall saves him. And Russ trying to get any form of contact, any form of trade, gets denied, and himself in the process as well. Benkai gets a couple of kills, but he can't do what he did in that last round, leaving Polvi in a 1 versus 4 with an operator in hand. You know it's not going to happen, so he just backs away smartly. Take the 10-11 already. Global still has a lot more plays to do, and just use this time to talk about it once more.
Yeah, why not? But as it comes down to it, this match down to a knife's edge, Bleed slowly clawing their way back in. This still could become Bleed's game. This still could be an elimination match for either of these teams. Bleed showing that they definitely still have what it takes. Darren with the showstopper, able to be the catalyst for the team as he dives through.
I love how you mentioned that, because these two, they know how important Kickoff is. Right?
Masters Madrid.
Masters Madrid. And, I mean, anyone who wins Kickoff gets, what, +3 points? Champion points? That's a huge, huge thing to bring in to a team, if we're talking about Bleed at least, that just came from Ascension Pacific not even a year ago. Last year, but not even close to a year ago, just a couple of months ago, which is crazy to think at the least.
Yeah, Bleed is a team that really knows how to grow and adapt together. You know, we were talking about it. Both timeouts were spent, right? And it forces they force Coach Spin to call some timeouts back. So Crazy Guy's actually doing so much right now. Of course, back into it. Darian and Egoist. You can feel their impact in the server as they pick up more frags. Off to the next round, though, without the ultimates, can't go in just as fast. Taking a bit of a breather. Yeah, I think they're just trying to find some kind of a path, some kind of a route into the site.
And the route could be A. They're leaving Egoist to play on that A main. But I mean, there's still so many pathings, right? As long as you can get that mid, you can obviously transition to B main, mail into A heaven. But they got to make something happen now. I think they're using up a couple more extra seconds just to see if there's any over pushing.
Yeah, check
from
B.
from Global Esports.
If there's something around this area of heaven, yeah, then they might be able to play around. So both lurks actually very important that they stay alive, whether it's Egoist or Ye.
Okay, the biggest person that needs to stay alive from Bleed here has got to be Scary. Because first things first, they've dropped the spike. And they need to pick it up somewhat. Okay, there's still B main control right now. Durion's coming into the corner here. Blaze King is right in front of him. Trigger Discipline could provide some dividends, which it does. And Blaze King is holding on. This is going really, really bad for Bleed as they get unraveled. They took too long. And again, Spike's going to have to be brought into that A site. But everybody's taking corners, checking angles, and it's all down once again to Egoist. This time, he's by himself. Right in front of him is Polvi, and Polvi jettisons Global into series, into map point, into eliminating Bleed from Kickoff.
Show them out.
Such high stakes, and all it took was Blaze King to hide around a corner. Oh, that feels like justice.
30 seconds left.
Oh, that feels like he's winning this match for his ex-teammates on Boom Esports. 3 kills back-to-back in such a fashion. Polby picking the next one up. And it's just Bleed starting to feel like that pressure is mounting up on their shoulders again. They had so much, but then towards the end, just one guy was the difference.
It's just that one misstep, that one not checking of a corner, and everything just goes down the drain, right? I mean, you're talking about it. We're looking at it. Durian,
This could be it.
is he just going to push this? This could actually just be them losing their lives, but he somehow manages to find Benkai. They destroy the tripwires here, and Bleed strike back.
Okay.
It's not yet over. It's a 4 versus 3, sure, but you can never count out Global Esports. So Bleed has still got to grind the 2 rounds into overtime for them to even have a chance.
They've taken out Blaze King. Up next is going to be Polvy, looking to dive straight onto sight, perhaps from heaven, but denied by Darian.
One enemy remaining.
There's one more. That's going to be Russ. IGL, captain, my captain. Can you lead me into the promised land? Let's drop down on Hell here. They know where he is. The reposition, but he's good for the first. Could be good for the second. Crazy guy. If he overheats, that's an opportunity for Russ to get into the site. But of course, cooler heads wins heated moments. 11-12. This is where it goes down. Quack. One more round. Overtime or done time. I don't know.
We'll just have to wait and see, but at the very least, for this round, the way that Bleed is playing this, going for that full sight, full force execute, delaying and off-timing some of these flashes, right? First the paranoia, then Crazy Guy's guiding light. Just kind of throws Benkai off, and it gives them so much more space on the site. Can they do the same thing again? This time, not really smoking things off. It's just Ben with the Cyber Cage up, Blaze King trying to go back in.
Tripwire not found. That could be Durian's life already done, which somehow, miraculously, it doesn't. Polby gets immediately traded in the back of the side. Benkai's still here. Pushes up. He converts, and Benkai is the hero, leaving it all down to Scary. 3 versus 1. Neural Theft activated. Oh, this is going horribly wrong for Bleed. And Scary, he's done miraculous things during Ascension Pacific. Can he do it now? Global Esports close to eliminating their opponent. Scare's giving away his location here. He's got a shot at step.
It is Scary.
10 seconds for the smoke, too. Paranoia. There's the swing out, and Benkai for the 4K, and the winning play to keep Global Esports alive, eliminating Bleed from Kickoff.
Every single one of us thought that Bleed Esports definitely had this one in the bag. Their performance against T1 was phenomenal. Being able to challenge such a top-tier team, but then now up against Global Esports, a full roster, a complete overhaul, and we're seeing its effects in full. Such great calling from Russ. The frags coming out from Benkai. Off to a new team, and he's found his calling. He's found his fragging potential.
I am so taken aback by this, Quack. Everything you said, absolutely true. They've restructured, they reformatted, and it really goes to show. And it is a wake-up call as well from the Ascension Pacific team that even though there were a lot of high hopes, you can never really count it out. It's a whole different landscape. You're playing against whole different animals, and it goes to show as well here.
I mean, at the very least, though, I will say the fact that they have, pushed this into 3 maps, into so many rounds, they are definitely, competitors in this league. That said, maybe it takes a little bit more time, but apart from that, Global Esports, also wanting to take a bit more time. Now coming into this, at least for this match, just surprising everyone. Definitely upsetting everyone's expectations. It's just lovely to see nonetheless, right? We talked about Benkai, we talked about Polvy. I think Blaze King deserves some time in the spotlight.
Everybody actually has, right? There was rounds where Russ got himself some amazing clutches, Blaze King with the trigger discipline, Benkai with amazing anchoring, and Polvy's explosiveness, all culminating together to give Global that dub.
And you know what? We're gonna have to hear from the team themselves. We've got the interview ready with Kyungmin up on the stage.
GE survives for the elimination match for Kickoff. Congratulations, and with Pavi here. GE가 이제 킥컵의 첫 승리를 가져가게 됐습니다. 펄비 선수와 함께합니다. 안녕하세요. Hello.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Map 3 win. I mean, you proved how strong GE was.
I mean, our mentality was very strong. Even though we threw the map 2, like whatever, we went into map 3 like high energy, high vibes, and we just didn't give up.
Yeah, it was really nice. 네, 맵2에서는 조금 어려운 모습을 보였지만 맵3에서는 훨씬 더 발전된 모습으로 멋지게 맞출 수 있어서 정말 좋았습니다. I mean, but one thing about what I want to say to you, Paul B, is the casters. I mean, they voted for Glee for the win. So, what can you tell them?
I mean, I hope now some people have some faith in us because we've been having a lot of faith after losing to Zeta. I hope some people will respect our names now.
Yes. 우리를 응원해주는 팬분들 그리고 믿어준 팬분들께 더 감사하는 마음을 전할 뿐이라고 말했습니다. 왜냐면 캐스터들은 거의 다 글리드 팀을 승리로 예측을 했거든요. 그래도 좀 되게 자랑스러울 것 같은데 다음 질문으로 또 이어가 볼게요. 또 폴비 선수가 BCT 퍼시픽에서 이제 처음으로 승리를 이끌게 됐는데 지금까지 두 경기를 치렀는데 어떤 마음으로 이어왔는지 물어보겠습니다. You newly joined the BCT Pacifics, your first win for your team. So how do you feel about it? I mean, you went through 2 matches so far, but how was it?
I mean, obviously it was our first win, but it's like our first one and there's more to come. So we're super excited to go rematch either Zeta or we go against T1 and we're ready.
Oh yeah, that question I'm gonna ask you again. 네, 아직까지 첫 승리이긴 하지만 아직 많은 걸음이 남았다고 보고요. 또 다음 경기 T1도 만날 수도 있기 때문에 이 부분에 대해서도 긴장을 하고 있습니다. I mean, you brought up T1. Next match you'll meet T1 or Zeta, whoever wins. But you're preferring T1 better than Zeta?
I mean, honestly, I want to go T1, but I don't mind a rematch against Zeta. It would be nice to get our revenge already this early, so.
사실 T1을 만나고 싶은 마음도 있지만 제타를 만나게 되면 이제 복수를 할 수 있는 기회가 있기 때문에 크게 상관은 없는 것 같습니다. Okay, Paul V, thank you for the interview. Best of luck for the next match.
Thank you.
And also, we have a little present for the fans. Do you know what it is?
No.
It's a doll. You have to write your signature. And it's a lucky doll because you won the match today, right? So you sign it wherever you want. And then you need to think where to throw it. But you have to go front to the audience, to the front. And then whoever shouts or raise your hands. Who's the lucky one? Yay! Someone's really happy. Thank you, Paul V. Okay, so congratulations, GE. And for the next match, we have T1 and Zeta coming up. Wait for that, everyone. And next, let's go to the desk. Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh. I feel like we should hide here or something. I feel so called out.
I mean, listen, but it's exactly as Povey said. They demanded some respect to their name, and I'll give it to him, right? He's right. We all doubted him, and we were all proven wrong, and with good reason. I mean, they were firing back, all of them kind of taking turns, taking the reins. If someone was having a little trouble, someone else rose up to kind of counteract that, especially going into map 3 as well, trying to bounce back after that map 2 loss.
Yeah, and we already said, if we have our expectations subverted, that's good. We're happy to have that happen. I'm happy to see Global be able to get this win. I think that is going to be a big amount of weight lifted off their chests here, even if we didn't expect it to happen.
I thought you were going to say, well, if we have our expectations low, we can only be impressed. But okay, you went the proper route of it.
Did I necessarily not mean that? I don't know. But look, there's still a lot to dig into with this series. Was this clean? Was this non-jail Valorant at times? You know, there was some moments in there. But there's plenty to work on, but that's something that Global now has a little bit more time to do as they get ready for a potential rematch or to face off against T1.
It definitely got more and more interesting, I think. Like, it started off, it was quite chaotic at times, but then you started to actually see the sense behind all of the chaos, right? And I absolutely love what the casters pointed out as well. Each member here, they had their own moment, right? Earlier, we did see Blaze King give a stellar performance on the first map, and then we saw a little bit of Polvi coming in. We saw Russ as well, and then here on Split, we saw Benkai, and this was actually like the battle of the ciphers that we had on this map, Will.
Yeah, both ciphers trying to just keep some of those rounds alive. And, there were times back in the day when Benkai was performing well on this map. And, of course, on that cipher as well. He's one of those players that used to really like playing that cipher when he was playing that Sentinel back on Paper Rex since the old days. So it's great to see him back in form. And like you mentioned, all of these players, they've been trying to say, no, we have the firepower. We don't know why people keep doubting us. We are here individually. Obviously, we've had ups and downs. Some of us have had to IGL in the past, but we can frag out. And they took turns proving that. But as Achilles said, now the question is, can you all perform at that level consistently in the upcoming matches?
Yeah, and I mean, really good rifling from Benkai. It's great to see him back on stage and just absolutely thriving in this environment. But again, some of these rounds is completely avoidable for Bleed. So this is a really unfortunate way to go out of it. Blaze King being able to find that just triggered discipline play, sat there on that B site where Bleed had no eyes on it the entire time. So they need to be checking these corners. They need to watch out for stuff like this. Just some questionable deaths throughout the mix here as well. So there's a lot of things to tighten up on. I really hope that they're going to be utilizing this extended break that they have while they wait for Masters Madrid to come and go.
Yeah, and I mean, again, look at the scoreboard, right? Global Esports kills spread out a little bit more evenly as well, and I think we're seeing that mental come into play as well. They're able to at least hold it together just a bit longer than Bleed to eke out this win 2-1.
Unfortunately, gentlemen, this means that Bleed Esports is the first elimination. They are now out of Kickoff, but I'd say kudos to them. There was still a lot of potential that was here. I mean, we did see Egoist, for example, really get his moment in the final map. We saw Darion as well have his moment. We know what Scary is capable of. And of course, we have Ye and Crazy Guy to round it up. This is still a Scary roster.
Listen, we had expectations for them individually, but we have to remember, once again, this is a team that hasn't played in VCT Pacific before. Right. The staff, the players, they haven't been able to play in this league, in this tournament before. So it's not too surprising that they are the first team eliminated. It's unfortunate, but again, they can only move up from here, and that's always been the expectation for Bleed.
I mean, maybe it's trite and overused, but it ultimately is a very true thing. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. Given the championship point system, does this mean that they miss out on the opportunity to generate some? Yes, absolutely. But as long as they can rally back, come into stage one, and have a really strong performance there, they can rack those points up. So there still is obviously a very decent chance that if they can come in well practiced and get everybody on the same page, make sure that they're not making some of these more fundamental mistakes, they could still make it to international competition because you have Shanghai, you've got champs on that horizon.
That's right. Again, Kickoff. This is a starting point for a lot of these teams, and Bleed Esports is one of them. Again, this was a team that was, the part of VCT Ascension before. So I would say this is a very interesting debut, and they managed to go up against some of the very best. But of course, we are going to have one more series left. Global Esports will continue their journey, but for now, we are going to see who else in Group A rounds off everything as we head into our third series, T1 versus Zeta Division. That is coming right up after this very, very quick break.
Seconds left.